still number one. More first-place votes now, 44 first-place votes. Georgia lost a few first-place votes on the bye week. They went down to 12 first-place votes. Ohio State's got 5 first-place votes. Highest-ranked team without a number 1 vote, Alabama at number 4. Tennessee shoots all the way up to number 5. Ole Miss, Miami, Oregon, Penn State, and Utah rounding out the top 10. And Missouri dropping to 11. Michigan and USC at 12 and 13. LSU, and there's Louisville, who's got a fun game with Notre Dame this week, 15 and 16, battling it out there in South Bend. All right, that's our show today. Hang around. Overtime is coming up on the other side. Don't forget, Rabbit Hole on Friday in Tuscaloosa. The show moves to 12 to 3, from 9 to 12, live show 12 to 3 Friday as we get ready for the big Georgia-Alabama weekend. Until next time, God bless you and God bless America. From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Ryan Brown here for The Next Round. Join me and CBS sports analyst Brandon Marcello for the Middle 8 each Monday at 8 a.m. as we look back at the weekend of college football from the SEC to the top 25 of the college football playoff. It's the Middle 8 presented by MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
You never know what we're up to here at The Next Round. The easiest way to stay in the know with our antics and adventures is to follow The Next Round across all social media platforms at Next Round Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Whether it's Dunaway sleeping in the studio, Tim and Lunsford breaking down the latest movie release, or Game Day Chronicles, we are here to keep you updated on the latest sports news while, of course, having just a little bit of fun. Follow at Next Round Live across all platforms to join in.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, CoverCrimson.com and TheBarnAuburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or TheBarnAuburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Take the Next Round anywhere you go with official Next Round gear. Buy yours today at nextround.store. Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, The Next Round presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Live on a Tuesday, Brown's in hiding. The Brown Bandit may be on the show. They're never seen in the same place at the same time. That's coming up later at 10:30. We'll make it 10:30-ish today. Coming up a little bit later on, but that figure over there shows us we have not been very good on our upset alerts here. Crazy comment again from Hugh Freeze last night. We'll get into what he said on Tiger Talk. Maybe the two biggest defenders of Hugh Freeze to date up here on the desk today. Is that fair?
Probably. I mean, look, I just thought it was a really good hire. I think Hugh Freeze is a really good coach. Now, is this potentially self-sabotaging? I don't know why he would come out and say what he said last night. It makes no sense. Maybe Hugh's burned out already. Maybe Hugh wants a buyout. He wants to float off into the sunset. I mean, that is an idiotic comment, what he said last night. An idiotic comment.
Let's go ahead and get to that before we get to Monday Night Football. I was going to start with Monday Night Football and tease ahead to that, but let's go ahead and get to what, since we've jumped into it right there, cut number 2.
I actually thought it was a
Tyler.
joke when I first saw it on social media last night.
Oh, not 2. My apologies. Cut 3, Tyler. That's the thing that has driven Saber and Rockstar crazy over the years, Tyler, is cut number 2. No, make it number 3. Make it number 3. This is Tiger Talk last night, Auburn Network. Now, before I even play this, I'm going to tell you I agree with it. But that's not the way the world works. You don't say things like this. A little comment afterwards, but maybe our guy talks more than he needs to talk sometimes, and this is one of those situations. I agree with him, but
I disagree with him.
You disagree with him?
This team is not good enough to beat anybody they play 9 times out of 10.
Here's Hugh Freeze last night.
We've got to get them to where the winning ways are happening on those critical downs. I mean, no offense whatsoever to Arkansas or to Cal. I love Sam Pittman. I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you, the hard truth is we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. And that's what's hard to take. And it's hard for our fans, I'm sure, and it's certainly hard for us. And you have 460-something yards, and we only had 50-something plays of offense because we turned it over 5 times. And it's just it's frustrating.
9 times out of 10, he thinks they'd win the game. Let's start here. Do you think Arkansas's roster is better than Auburn's?
Oh, I'm not saying that. I brought this up yesterday that if you look at the box score and know that Taylor Green was 12 of 27, and you know that Auburn outgained them by basically 100 yards, and you know that Jaquindon Jackson only was limited to 75 yards, you think Auburn wins that game. They lost by double digits. And if they could win that 9 out of 10 times, then it's all on coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I understand the 5 turnovers, and that's going to get magnified, and you can't win. But when you sit there and say, hey, we would win this game 9 times out of 10, I think that's more a deflection on him, and that's premeditated. Like, he knew going on that show he was going to say something like that.
So if you're him, you talk less right now, right?
I would, yes, absolutely. Well, I would know from whoever his support system is, hey, look, this is a bad look with the Bo Wallace thing. You're making, what is he making, $8 million? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's
a lot.
It's in the SEC, so you know it's over 7.
Take some accountability. Like, hey, look, this is going to look a lot better if you take accountability. You were given an incredible opportunity from Auburn to come back and coach in the SEC, and now it's not working, and now you've got former players calling you out, and now you're saying things that just aren't necessary.
Can we just go to the Bo Wallace thing and put that in disgruntled employee situation, a guy that is no longer with him, that can be a disgruntled employee and you can't really take everything he says at face value?
Yeah, and
that's
the way I took it. When we talked about it yesterday, I thought it was more like sour grapes from Bo Wallace. And I think most people probably might be a bad look for Hugh to some, but I think most people are like, hey, Bo's bitter about something. What's he holding in his back pocket? I think there was an easy way to deflect this, not going on Tiger Talk and saying, you know what, no offense, but boy, if we played them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. That is such a dig at Arkansas.
Yeah.
And if I'm an Auburn fan, you played them once. You played them in your backyard. You already had a wake-up call from California. You lost to Cal. Now, how do we have 2 losses in 4 home games to teams we've been favored against?
Yeah, now that's the thing is we don't play them 9 out of 10 in a 9 out of 10 series. We play them one time. We need you to win the game when you play them the one time, right? We need you to win that game. Interesting week in this game coming up. Hugh hasn't announced who his quarterback is going to be, but Brent Venables has. Brent Venables says it's going to be Michael Hawkins Jr. I'll say it now. If Michael Hawkins Jr. plays that game and Jackson Arnold never comes in, I think Auburn wins the football game. I think that's a big mistake for Brent Venables going with that kid.
Well,
it's the same mistake Hugh Freeze made switching to Hank Brown. This is the same exact mistake Hugh Freeze made.
Oh, look, I think one of the reasons, you can't have a quarterback that turns it over. I mean, I guess Brent Venables isn't going to go scorched earth like Hugh. I would ask you this, though. This Oklahoma team, I think they've played 4 games, right? 3-1?
That sounds right, yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is you get 4 games for a year of eligibility. If I am told, if I'm Jackson Arnold and today's athlete, these guys are basically employees. If Michael Hawkins is your starter, if you're Jackson Arnold, do you shut it down?
Don't play it again because I get that year back and I go anywhere in the country I want.
Yeah, and look,
they'll have me.
There's still going to be a massive market for him. It hasn't been a good look. He's completing less than 60% of his passes. I think he's got 6 total turnovers through 4 games.
We'll just use that school as an example. Spencer Rattler, after he left when he lost the starting job, he did okay, right?
He did okay, yeah. At South Carolina, a lesser program. And I don't know if Jackson Arnold's got to go to a lesser program, but if I'm Jackson Arnold, I'm benched. It is a conversation. You hate to say this, but I guarantee you internally, his representatives, his family, that this is something he's talked about.
Yeah, and we've seen players shut it down before. I would mask it with some kind of injury in practice, but we've seen people shut it down before. We'll see what happens. But that's another one of those early season quarterback moves that is being made, and we're seeing more of it now because in some places you have quality or what you appear to be quality backups over the on the roster there, and it makes it an interesting choice. But Michael Hawkins Jr. starting for Oklahoma as they go to play Auburn. Do you think you see Jackson Arnold in the first half?
Well, if you do, it means Michael Hawkins Jr. is really struggling. This is just a dangerous spot for Venables to give this kid his first start. And look, I don't know how much better Jackson Arnold would be because, again, going back to his one appearance at a bowl game last year, he was a turnover machine in that game. I thought he was going to be much better. Talking to Brock Heward yesterday during Unlocked, he said, look, I think I forgot exactly, and I'm paraphrasing. We didn't get sold a bill of goods, but he said everybody inside of Oklahoma was raving how good Jackson Arnold was last year. And he's like, there was no way it was can't miss just because of how much they hyped the guy up. And then obviously just turns the ball over at an alarming rate. If you do see Jackson Arnold in this game, you've got another situation like Auburn.
Yep.
And Brent Venables just got a contract extension, which I don't understand how you go from 6-7, win 10 games, very good job in year 2, but why do you give him a contract extension? It's only 2 years in. Were you afraid somebody's going to come get Brent Venables?
It is a little spin the wheel at quarterback, and you do that with coaching contracts.
I know
too.
We're not big recruiting guys, but apparently Michael Hawkins was a highly recruited guy, and you don't see these guys hang out for long if they're not playing. So you wonder if Hawkins, his camp was pushing a little bit. Hey, Jackson Arnold's struggling. Need to see me in there. We're going to have to make a change here. These guys have so much more power than they've ever had.
I just saw him before Hawkins even went into the game. And if you were watching that Oklahoma-Tennessee game, before Hawkins even went into the game, I didn't know who he was, but a guy with a towel over his head came and sat down next to Jackson Arnold out of one of his bazillion interceptions and was encouraging him. And I was like, that's a pretty good teammate there. I don't know if he's like, backup holder or something, but he ends up being the kid that goes into the game and finishes the game. So I think it tells you a little bit about the person that Michael Hawkins Jr. is. Interesting game, 2:30 coming up this weekend. Down there, 2:40 actually, Oklahoma and Auburn. Oklahoma, as we go at mybookie.ag this morning, -1.5. Sooners, a road favorite with a backup quarterback, now the starter, as they go on the road against Auburn. Scheduled to be on the show coming up at 9:30 this morning, Auburn quarterback Payton Thorne.
So we did get a confirmation.
Confirmation that he is scheduled to be on the show coming up at 9:30. And we've sent a link.
He has the Zoom interview link.
Okay.
It's up to him to click on it, though.
Yeah.
It's up to him.
This will be interesting. I do kind of, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, like Auburn in this game, at least going into the game.
Yep.
I think this is a really tough spot. I don't, Oklahoma's defense is good, but I think their offense is atrocious.
Yeah.
They cannot run the football.
See, to me, that is That was the mistake Brent Venables couldn't make, man. The winning unit in this Auburn game, is the Oklahoma defense. And you should lean in to being as conservative as you can be on the road at Jordan-Hare Stadium and let Auburn make the mistakes, let your defense win you the football games. You don't go in there with a true freshman quarterback who can make enough mistakes. You lean in to conservative offense and your defense.
Have we gotten to the point, and obviously Auburn fans are going to show up in bunches and they're going to support their team and they're going to be really excited, let's say, if they win this game. But if we got to the point, if you've got Hugh Freeze out there pumping his fist and saying, treating this like a Super Bowl win, are Auburn fans like, I cannot believe we're sitting at 3-2 in this spot? Because, look, it's going to be a nice win if you beat Oklahoma, but at the same time, coming out of these 5 games, if you wanted a special season, you needed to be 5-0.
No, I think it's as bad as this past Sunday was for Auburn fans and Saturday night into Sunday morning. I think a win over Oklahoma, where Oklahoma is, name brand, I mean, they're still ranked, LT. They're number 21 in the country. It's a brand name.
I cannot believe they're ranked.
Yeah, I mean, 3-2 with a win over Oklahoma. I mean, that's not far off from being 4-1, where a lot of us thought they would be coming out of the homestand.
Yeah, but again, you're a double-digit favorite against Cal. You're favored against Arkansas.
Can't do anything about those now. I can only do it going forward.
Somebody mentioned this, and this is pretty funny that Hugh talks about all these turnovers, and that's why Arkansas won. Well, when Hugh won the back-to-back games against Saban, it was all turnovers, wasn't it?
It was all crazy turnovers, right? Balls off defenders' helmets, bouncing to receivers, streaking down the field. Jeff says, love OU. I'm a big Auburn fan.
Is Jeff not an Auburn fan?
He is. Lock, free money, love OU.
I don't know how you could love OU with their offensive line, with their they really don't have a running back. Again, this kid is making his first career start on the road in Jordan-Hare.
Yeah, look for a big game from Eugene Asante.
It's kind of quiet the last couple of weeks.
Unblockable by that Oklahoma offensive line. Jeff, I'd love to know, if you'll be honest with me in the chat room, if you're trying to play the reverse landmine, as we call it on the show, or have you given up on Hugh Freeze because you've been a very big proponent so far of what goes on. So I'd love to know. Love to know how you feel, Jeff.
He said he is an Auburn fan. Doesn't matter.
Well, I know he's an Auburn fan.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. MyBookie.ag bringing you the point spreads, all the spreads we talk about in the show at MyBookie.ag. Promo code next round. Squeeze those together. One word, next round. What you get when you go sign up right now at MyBookie.ag is a deposit bonus. And if you go today, they'll double that deposit bonus, I believe, whatever it is. Put 100 in to get 200 is what way it works. Put 200 in to get 400. You know how to do the math. MyBookie.ag allows you to jump in and play the games. Baseball tonight, some big ones. Got Thursday night NFL football returning, and then an amazing weekend of college football and the NFL again. We'll get to all of that throughout the week, but you can always play it right now. Go ahead and if you love Auburn getting points, or if you love Oklahoma only giving those few points, you can play MyBookie.ag right now. Promo code next round. There's parlays to play. There's players props to play. You can do it all at MyBookie.ag. MyBookie.ag. Promo code next round. Also today, the show is brought to you by our friends right there at Hemp Hill Services. They bring you Lance's Lock every day, lanceslock.com. Coming off an amazing weekend, went into a wild night on Monday Night Football with a doubleheader.
That was a bad. Well, I ended up. I had Brian Thomas's over. It went off at 44.5 receiving yards. So got home with that, but we lost our big play with the Jags, and that's just an embarrassing play. Couple of things. Buffalo, I think, is this good. I think
we're about to get into the games, but tell us about Hemp Hill. But 8-5 on Saturday, 4-1 on Sunday,
3-2 on Sunday, 2-1. And last night, 1-1. So anyway, very productive week. Jump on board with us at Lance's Lock, always brought to you by Hemp Hill Services. Trust the name. Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues. Whether they're in home or business, they are ready to serve you. Hard to stop a train. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
It was so bad for the Jaguars, we saw Mac Jones. But let's start with the positive last night in the National Football League. By the way, Payton in the next segment, more college football throughout the show. Joel Klatt moved from Monday to today. He'll be with us at 10:30. Buffalo beats Jacksonville 47-10, and there's a new betting favorite for the league MVP, and it's Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was great. And, you lose Diggs. I thought the biggest loss for this team was in the offseason in camp when Matt Milano went down. And the defense hasn't had any problems. The offense has been great. 47 points last night. They were up 34-3. That was the worst deficit Jacksonville has ever had in their organization at halftime. Trevor Lawrence gets his $275 million contract extension. He's lost 9 consecutive games as a starting quarterback. Quarterbacks that get paid like that don't lose 9 consecutive games. And look, I know there might be questions with that offensive line and with that defense, but Trevor Lawrence looks lost.
I have him last win November 26, 2023. Does that sound right?
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time. Trevor Lawrence, listen to this stat. Trevor Lawrence, guys, has 61 turnovers, the most in the NFL since he joined the league. There were people. I'm
not surprised. Look, I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be a really good quarterback. Again, it's really difficult to predict who's going to be a good quarterback, who's not going to be. But Trevor Lawrence even had moments. Had that rough wild card game against the Chargers, but had an incredible second half with 5 touchdowns, and he's won a postseason game. And I think it was his second year in the second half of the season, 17 touchdowns, only 2 picks. He's played good football, but he looks like his confidence is gone, and he looks lost right now.
The Philip in Huntsville, he's one guy I remember from our radio days who followed us over here. Always an email because he catches the show later on from Huntsville. I remember he said Trevor Lawrence wouldn't be good in the NFL. And there were several people on the show that would call in, tweet in, or join the chat room that never believed in Trevor Lawrence.
Well, look, I think some of those people probably being legitimate. Some people maybe you discount because Trevor Lawrence lit Alabama up. I don't know.
That's when that was happening,
yeah,
right?
That's why I bring that up.
Now, on the flip side.
Now, Clemson, both of their elite quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson was a top 5 quarterback in the league for a while, and obviously with his time off and his legal situation, he's not even close, not even a shell of the quarterback. And then Trevor Lawrence, I just don't know what happened to Trevor Lawrence.
Both of those guys you had to take out of college if they were there on the board when you were picking because they were that good in college. They have not translated to be what you thought they would be. They've had some moments. It may be a good opportunity for Mac Jones to get back into playing time in a better situation. We'll see what Jacksonville does forward. They're going forward. They're not going to bench a $245 million quarterback. They're going to keep playing him. Now, on the flip side, you always loved Jaden Daniels at LSU, and you loved him going to the NFL. Last night, Jaden Daniels became the first NFL player in history. Sit back and let this wash over you. Became the first NFL player in history with more than 250 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 running touchdown, and a 90% completion rate, 21 of 23. He's off to the best 3-game start percentage passing-wise. Second best in the league. Drew Brees has the best at 80.6% to start 2018. He's completed through the first 3 games, 80.3%.
Some of the throws last night, and the McLaurin throw in the corner of the end zone on the 3rd and 7 with a little over 2 minutes to go.
Sealed the game.
It was just an incredible. To think about Jaden Daniels on the road had more total touchdowns than incompletions. Man, that's insane. Like if a kid goes 21 to 23 and has those numbers, and it's a South Alabama against Coastal Carolina, you're like, okay, when a rookie is going on the road for his 3rd ever career start to play like that, I think it shows you a couple of things. He's that good. The confidence Dan Quinn has in him. The teammates absolutely love him, but on the other side, Cincinnati's defense sucks.
Yeah.
The Bengals' defense is awful. People can take shots at Joe Burrow, and I know a quarterback like Joe Burrow is going to have to be accountable for them being 0-3.
He was 29 of 38, 324, and 3 touchdowns.
That's what I was going to say.
What more could he do?
He takes Cincinnati down, takes a lead over Kansas City. Their defense gives up a walk-off to Harrison Butker. Last night, I don't know what more Burrow could have done. Burrow's not blowing those coverages.
Yeah. By the way, if you did not watch the game, and there were 2 on, I don't know why you would have kept watching Buffalo blow out Jacksonville. But if you didn't watch the game, there were no turnovers, and there were no punts. I'll say it again: no turnovers and no punts. As Caleb says, Commanders haven't punted in 2 games. It was every possession ended in a score or an end of the half.
Well, I don't know if you remember me saying, I did say I think the Commanders could be one of the big surprise teams in the NFL because I think Jaden Daniels, I'm not going to say I thought he could be this good because he's historically good through 3 games right now. And I don't know if it keeps up or not, but you start to identify some, McLaurin, was going to be one of these playmakers. Bringing Eckler over. Brian Robinson's coming off a career high last week. I think with 133 yards rushing. Now you get a guy like Luke McCaffrey, who should have had a touchdown last night. Zach Ertz comes over trying to revitalize his career. You've got some playmakers there. Yeah, this Commanders defense is going to struggle. They really struggle on the back end. Not good against the pass. But Jaden Daniels is a kid that's going to keep you in every game. And if I asked you right now on the fly, which one of these former LSU Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks wins a ring first, Jaden Daniels or Joe Burrow?
Well, I would say the answer would be no. Traditionally, the Bengals are cheap. They're struggling to pay Jamar Chase, or reluctantly not paying Jamar Chase right now, who did have a big game last night, by the way. Sorry, Daniel, in the chat room, helped me beat, and there he is, and Jim was right. Jamar Chase helped me beat him in fantasy football last night. Big game for him. If you can keep some of the receivers together, I'm still going to go Bengals there, but
I think I would go Commanders. I know it's been a lifetime. Like the last time the Redskins were in a Super Bowl was 1991-92, that season with Mark Rippon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been that long ago when, they beat Buffalo up. But I've just got a feeling Jaden Daniels is this special. Now, again, it's early. RG3 was really good his rookie season for the Redskins, and that obviously didn't pan out. This just feels completely different. I just don't know, like you, the Bengals are a team that, even with a bad ownership, they found themselves in Super Bowls before they were there in 2021. They look a long way off, though.
Our friends at Lanyas bringing you part of the show. One more thing to get to in this segment before we take our first break and get to Payton Thorne. Lanyas Furniture, they've been with us for years and years and years, and back with us here on this platform as they continue to give you great service when it comes to making your home look good on the inside.
Yeah, really important if you're looking to finish out that man cave. Wherever you watch your games and you want that one piece, whether it's that Lazy Boy Flex Steel recliner, you want to put a really cool sectional in there. The thing about Lanyas, they've got an incredible inventory. The pricing is second to none. Our friends at Lanyas Furniture believe in getting more style for less. Lanyas offers a great selection of furniture for your living room, bedroom, dining room, home office, entertainment, and mattresses. Lanyas can even help with your home design and decorating. They've got incredible savings store-wide. Just make that short drive from Birmingham. Take exit 280 off of I-65, the Hallmark Farms exit. Go south on U.S. Highway 31 for 1.3 miles. Lanyas will be right there on your right. For more information, 205-647-4311. And make sure you tell Reggie and John, the guys from the Next Round, sent you.
Also, our friends at Storm Restoration Roofing. But before I tell you about Storm Restoration Roofing, listen, I'm all for fun in the chat room and everything. Brownie's off today, as you know. But you see that over there. He's off today. Little situation that he needs to take care of with his family today. So you guys can have all the fun you want over there. Joke about what you want to joke about. Brownie's off today. Pretty serious situation. He'll be back with us tomorrow. Storm Restoration Roofing is with you all the time. Owned and operated by our buddy Greg from Pell City. 20 years locally owned, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and trusted by insurance agencies. Free, no-cost roof inspection. Can handle storm repairs and roof replacements. 205-542-3531. 542-3531. Greg will get on that roof. Good family man right there with his wife, Andrea. Him and some of his kids actually run every crew that Storm Restoration Roofing has. So you got local people who are out inspecting your roof with a free no-cost roof inspection and everything else. It's Storm Restoration Roofing. Greg from Pell City, 205-542-3531. Or you can look him up on Facebook. It's Greg from Pell City. As we continue on here, the Bengals are 0-3, and that brings up this historic stat that we tell you about every year when somebody starts 0-3. Since 1966, 34 teams now have started 0-3, and not many of them end up making the playoffs.
Well, look, I mean,
Excuse me, I said that all wrong. Or did I?
Well, no, since the expansion of the postseason of the NFL, only one team has started 0-3 and made the postseason, and that was Houston Texans in 2018.
Yeah, good point.
And you had a guy like Deshaun Watson, you had a guy like J.J. Watt. This Bengals team, here's the problem. This is much like, if I'm going to analogize and put in Auburn in this, you were a touchdown favorite, more than a touchdown favorite against the Patriots. You killed most people's suicide league, including mine. Then last night you were more than a touchdown favorite against the Commanders with a rookie quarterback coming in, and you lose that game. So not only are you 0-3, you've still got, like really, really difficult games coming up on this schedule. Joe Burrow is good enough to turn this thing around. I think a 17-game season does help this. Can they find 9 wins? I think they can still find 9 wins, but even if they do, I mean, that defense is atrocious.
Yeah. So that's the NFL. They'll be back with us on Thursday night. College football for most of the rest of the show, but it is a big night in baseball as well. Yankees could clinch. The Dodgers could virtually lock up their division. The Braves need wins tonight as they host the Mets. We'll get to all of that later on in the show. The Pennant Grace, Ush, and Emily Grace McWhorter will have a couple of episodes this week as it's a crucial week, final week of the regular season in Major League Baseball. When we come back, Payton Thorne scheduled to be with us on a show that is being brought to you in part by our friends at Precision Sports, getting you back in the game, man. If you've got a tweak, you got a pull, you got anything that's going on over there, you can jump back into action. And we're back to work, back to play, back to having fun in life. You can do that with Precision Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. 205-512-3885, precisionsportsortho.com/2024. Listen, you can have some tweaks, some pulls, some pains, break. You just get getting older, and you get up and you start hurting a little bit. You diagnose it, you treat it, you rehab. Locations in Jasper and in Alabaster and Fultondale and all around. Orthopedic care, better together with the great folks at Precision Sports. LT and I have sent our daughters there after injuries. We've gone there when we've had aches and pains. You can too. Orthopedic care, better together. Find that provider today. 205-512-3885. precisionsportsortho.com/2024. That's precisionsportsortho.com/2024.
Man, I love a good meal. I'm Jim Dunaway. A good meal is what you get with my friend Sterling at Champy's Chicken on Highway 119 in Alabaster. We're talking great southern fried chicken, wonderful sides, hand-cut chicken fingers, po' boys, and those Mississippi Delta recipe tamales. You got a perfect menu for everybody. Champy's Chicken is perfect for watching the big game or taking a meal to the lake house, down to the coast, or stay in the restaurant and dine in a great atmosphere. It's all made fresh to order right there on 119 in Alabaster, Champy's Chicken.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by, ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
You never know what we're up to here at The Next Round. The easiest way to stay in the know with our antics and adventures is to follow The Next Round across all social media platforms at Next Round Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Whether it's Dunaway sleeping in the studio, Tim and Lunsford breaking down the latest movie release, or Game Day Chronicles, we are here to keep you updated on the latest sports news while, of course, having just a little bit of fun. Follow at Next Round Live across all platforms to join in. Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. CoverCrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Spring weather is here, and our friends at Hemp Hill Services are offering a $69 HVAC tune-up plus 10% off any service call when you mention the next round. Call Adam, Chad, and the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Make sure your HVAC unit is ready to keep up with the changing weather. Hemp Hill Services, locally owned and operated independent train dealer. The team can service all makes and models. For all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs, call Hemp Hill Services. It's hard to stop a train. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com. That's 205-229-2090, hemphillservices.com.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Back with you on the next round. Big game down at Jordan-Hare Stadium this week, but they all seem big lately, right? It's college football in the SEC. This time it's Oklahoma coming to town to take on the Auburn Tigers. Quarterback of the Auburn Tigers, Payton Thorne, is back with us this week. Payton, welcome back in, man. I wanted to give you a chance right here to start off. You missed last week. You want to tell everybody what was going through your head last week and how you're transitioning back into this role down at Auburn?
Yeah, obviously it was a unique week for me personally. Had a chance to take a step back and get things from a different perspective than I had the last few years, and just tried my best to learn as much as I could in a different position that I've been in, and I think I did that. And just trying to be the best teammate I can be, and I was voted a captain on our team, so that's my responsibility to be there and to be a leader figure on the team, and so. Doing my best to do that last week, and then obviously be as supportive as I could.
Have we blown this out of proportion with your head coach and going on the podium after the game and saying, I have got to find a quarterback that doesn't throw it to the other team? And we kind of dissected that, and you've got former players that have been on the show with us, and they're like, man, he shouldn't throw his guys under the bus. And you've got other players or other people saying, these guys get paid now. Hugh is okay to be critical of these guys. When you heard the comments, did you take it personally? Are we blowing this out of proportion? Where are you guys internally on Hugh, your head coach's comments?
Yeah, I tried my best not to pay too much attention to stuff that's said to the media by, anybody, because, being in it as long as I've been in it, it's still kind of a short time compared to some people or a lot of people. But, when you say stuff to the media, it's not always true. And I've been told that by coaches before. And obviously, we've turned the ball over too many times, and we got to fix that and be clean with the ball. But for me personally, when I'm analyzing my game and I take a look at the turnovers that I've had myself, I look at it and I'm not too terribly, upset about the decision making that I've had in terms of that. I look at my interceptions and. One of them I missed the throw by about 6 inches or so, and it was the right decision. And unfortunately, it gets tipped up to the other team. Then I look at another one. It's the last play of the game, and I threw the route that I thought we were running, and it really wasn't. I'm not blaming anybody for it because it was a play that we kind of put in there at the end of the game and just weren't on the same page. But I thought I made the right decision. I thought I made a good throw too, and we didn't break the route off. But like I said, it's not. That's a tough one because it's the last play of the game with a unique play. And then another one, my arm gets hit as I'm throwing the ball, So, and then another one, I didn't know that our guy was pretty banged up during that play. And it was one-on-one coverage and throwing up a jump ball like I had done, all at camp too. So when I look back and look at the context of, those interceptions, I'm not – banging the table going, what the hell am I doing? So I try to keep that in mind as best as I can. And obviously you want to keep getting better as the season goes on. But in terms of that, that's what I've been doing for me personally, looking at that. And then also, just obviously we're emphasizing within our offense, taking care of the ball and making good decisions at the quarterback position, and then putting ourselves in the best chance to succeed.
Trust me, I'm around in the world, people who are always negative. I've been that person before, and I've tried to be very, very positive in 2024. I've been a different person. It just changed my life being positive. How important is it now for a captain like you, for the leaders of this team, to stay positive, still with so much of the season left? Do you find strength and positivity getting away from the people who waller in sadness and in misery?
Yeah, something I've learned throughout my career, and I'm thankful to have learned, is the power of negativity. Something like 70 to 80% of our thoughts as humans every day are negative. And so I've learned a lot about not verbalizing that and the power of not being negative. And it's not necessarily always being positive. Sometimes there's situations where there's nothing to be positive about. Like, you'd just be lying if you were saying, hey, it's okay, Like, that gets frustrating on the sideline at times when I was like, hey, we're good, we're good. It's like, no, we're not. That we just got to a horrible start, or I just made a terrible decision, or we just missed the block, whatever it is. It's not that it's okay, no, it's not. We made a mistake and we can't be doing that. But there is extreme power in not being negative, and I've learned about being neutral and just being, it is what it is. Whatever happened in the past happened. Now what are we going to do to fix it? What are we going to do moving forward to be as good as we can be? And so that's one of my focuses moving forward, is not being negative, while also, like you said, there is positivity too. We got 8 games ahead of us. That's a lot of football left, and we play in the best conference in the country, and it has been for a long time. And so you got a lot of talented teams, and we have talent on our team too. So I feel like anybody can beat anybody any given week, and I feel like we can win any game on our schedule, and we can also lose any game on our schedule. So it's about being neutral and about analyzing the situation and showing up each and every day to be the best we can.
Payton, it's a proud program. They won a national championship in 2010, played for another 11 years ago in 2013 against Florida State. But the fact of the matter, 6-19 last 25 games against Power 5 opponents. I mean, how is the internal culture right now, and how can you guys flip this thing around with 8 games to go in the regular season?
Yeah, obviously, like you said, this program has expectations, and it is a storied program, and we are not okay with losing games, especially the way that we're losing them. And so, like I said, it's just about showing up every day and, showing up with almost a desperate mindset, not desperate in fear, but desperate in, motivation. We got something to prove right now. And every day that we show up, we have to show up with that mentality.
Listen, this is not an opportunity for you to throw anybody under the bus here. But when we came into the season, we knew Keandre Lambert-Smith was coming for Penn State. He's been unbelievable. But you also had a lot of young receivers who were playing their first college games. As a veteran quarterback, how are they progressing right now with their experience, their route running, you guys getting to know each other? I think fans forget sometimes at home, Payton, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it's not 5 yards and out. It's not the way it's drawn up on college football when you're playing the video game. The routes aren't straight lines or these slanted lines. There's a lot of nuance to route running. How's the communication with the younger receivers who are still playing their very few first football games in college?
Yeah, I think it's going good. I think their mindset is correct, and I feel like my relationship is building with each and every one of those guys, and they're learning. And like you said, when they're this young, they're just a sponge. They're trying to absorb as much as they can from coaches and teammates as well. And so, I remember saying in the summer, these guys, at the end of the day, no matter how talented you are, when you're a true freshman, it's different than high school football. And so I think they're doing a good job right now. I'm really happy to be working with them. And, I think they're going to just keep improving as the season goes on.
This Oklahoma offense has struggled, and I don't know how much of Oklahoma-Tennessee you watched, but the Oklahoma defense is legitimate. Limiting this Tennessee team that was averaging 68 points per game to 25 points. Nico, did some things, but also was a little limited. Dylan Sampson, less than 100 yards. When you look at them on film, how good is this Oklahoma defense?
Yeah, they're very good. Obviously they're talented at a place like that. They're always going to have talent, and you look on film and you can tell that they're coached well and that they have a mentality about them. They're going to come after the ball. They're going to play physical. They got good speed. They're good sized up front and got some good pass rushers. And so, we're going to have our work cut out for us offensively, but, it's Tuesday right now. And so, got to put our plan together. We trust our coaches to do that and give ourselves a chance to succeed. And then us as players, it's about going out and making plays. And so, it starts with me seeing the defense, playing well with my eyes, getting the ball in the right spot, and then just making plays. And like I said, it's a good defense, and it's going to be a good week.
I seriously doubt, Monday nights you're tuned into Tiger Talk, but your coach last night said, love me some Sam Pittman, but if we played them 9 more times, we would win all 9 times. Do you echo his thoughts? Do you think if you played Arkansas 9 more times, and let's just say you were the starting quarterback, do you win 9 of 9?
Yeah, I heard Coach say that yesterday when I was talking to him in the middle of the day. And so, obviously we're not going to play them 10 times, but, as a player on our team, I do have confidence that we'd be able to win, a lot more often than not against them. And that's no disrespect at all to Arkansas. They beat us. They came into our place and they played well enough to win, and we didn't. And so, they're a good football team. Like I said before, in this conference, they got good players too. And so, but I think that if we lined it up, however many times, I have confidence in our guys and our coaches and myself as well. And so, I guess that's just a hypothetical.
Yep. Payton, thank you, man, for being with us. A lot of Auburn fans wanting to hear from you as you get ready for the big game at Jordan-Hare. Best of luck this weekend. Enjoy the preparation. Hope to see you on the field.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
That's Payton Thorne, Auburn quarterback, with us live today on the Next Round. Thanks for all of you jumping in and watching the Payton Thorne interview today.
I think he handles the question better than Hugh Freeze as a 23-year-old. I mean, look, hey, no disrespect. I've got a lot of confidence in this team, but we would beat them more times than we would not. I mean, coming out and laying it down that we would beat them 9 out of 9 is a little much. But I give Payton credit for off a loss coming back on with us, and we'll see where this goes the rest of the year.
Our friends at Woodhouse Day Spa brings you this part of the show, and we appreciate Woodhouse being with us and getting the fine folks relaxed and ready for another big football weekend. And by the way, I checked the calendar. October, November, we're about 3 months away from the Christmas season.
Yeah, look, and this is going to be such an easy gift. I know guys love to procrastinate, but, go on and spoil her. Get her used to the Woodhouse Day Spa by, football Saturdays. Make sure it's an opportunity for you. You can get her that gift card 24/7 online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Let her choose from a menu of over 70 options, including massages, body treatment, skincare, waxing, nail services. The Woodhouse Day Spa, voted America's best day spa since 2009. Beautiful location right there at the Summit. Stop into that Summit location. Tell Stuart and the guys that the Next Round sent you. Again, for more information and to order online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
All right. And also by our friends at NASCAR. Racing is coming back. We just talked about how quickly the calendar is flying by. What is today? September 24th?
Yes.
Oh, I nailed that one.
I had to double check.
Yeah, me too. I don't look at calendars much anymore. September 24th. On October the 4th, we're back racing at Talladega with the Truck Series playoff race. The 5th is the Xfinity playoff race. And then October 6th is the Yellowwood 500. Talladega Super Speedway, Buck-and-Dega Rodeo on Friday night, the Jake Owen concert on Saturday, and the Big Cup race on Sunday. All those are playoff races. You can get your tickets right now at TalladagaSuperspeedway.com, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com, or 877-GO-TO-DEGA. Enjoy the weekend. Don't forget to upgrade to the garage experience presented by Cool Ray. Immersive garage experience there. And also the free camping. It's all right there, TalladagaSuperspeedway.com, to get the details over there. That's Tyler running the board. Forrester's on the back row back there. If I can get Forrester's camera, it's okay to see the Supreme Guy, Tyler, but if I can get Forrester's camera on the back row, we've got Upset Alert coming up at 10:30, so about 45 minutes away. I don't know if you know this or not, LT, but only one of us got a winner this week, and it wasn't you, and it wasn't me. We know it wasn't the Brown Bandit.
Was it Forrester?
Go Cougs, BYU.
Oh yeah, that was a good play.
Good call. And now it's we got to trip this guy. He's starting to run away with this thing, and then we got to get some winners coming up. So we'll make a run. You didn't have a play this morning at 7. Don't give it to me. But do you know where you're going yet, Forrester? See, you're not hindered by the fact that you've got to draw something on a board. That's what hinders us sometimes. I sometimes steer away from a certain team because I don't want to draw their logo.
Yeah, I could never compete with your masterpieces there, Jim.
Do you know your team?
I've got a lean, yeah.
Okay. Do you know your team?
I do not.
Still working over here.
It was tough.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's tough. It's either a big blowout and everyone wants to get like you did last week, a cover and a win. So big get right there from Forrester last week. We'll give you an update on the standings and all that coming up in a second. Baseball, before we get back too deep in football, Clay Travis at the top of the hour, Joel Klatt. Your Dodgers in first place hosting San Diego. If San Diego sweeps the Dodgers, it's still a race going into the weekend. Dodgers can close it out pretty much in this series, though, and lock up another division championship.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a really good spot with 6 games to go, up 3 on the Padres. It would take – I mean, the Padres need a sweep in this situation. Yeah. Man, I tell you, the National League, and I had this conversation with a buddy that was over this past weekend about his Braves. Like, I feel like Philadelphia and the Dodgers are the best, but the Dodgers have been so banged up. I just don't think there's like a dominant team right now in the National League.
Philadelphia won the National League East last night, ending the Braves 6 straight runs as division champions. But it's the Mets and Braves tonight, 6:20 in Atlanta. And speaking of banged up, Braves are banged up. Mets are healthier than the Braves are. Big series in the ATL. You got a feel on how this series goes?
I don't. I don't at all. I mean, obviously, this is just as important, not necessarily for the Padres making the postseason, but I'm talking about for this series, though, with the Mets and Braves, obviously is going to decide a lot.
That's right. Braves need to win to stay in the playoff hunt. Can't come out of this series getting swept. Baltimore and the Yankees tonight. The Yankees can clinch their division, but Baltimore is going to make the playoffs. It's the Orioles-Yankees on TBS. It's the Padres and Dodgers on TBS. Doubleheader baseball tonight. You can watch over the air on TBS. Mets in Atlanta, wherever you get your Mets in Atlanta baseball floating around. By the way, this week, for those of you that's been around a long time like me, it's the last series this week ever in Oakland for the Oakland A's. They'll play in the minor league baseball park before they go to Vegas. But just think about it. There's the Golden State Warriors now in San Francisco, the Oakland Raiders now in Las Vegas, and the Oakland Athletics last series at home this week, and then it's off to the minor league park in Las Vegas. This is it. This is the last run for Oakland as a professional sports city ever.
I have never been to the city of Oakland, but it is kind of sad when you think about the great history that city has had. I mean, the A's had a really good run, the early 70s, the late 80s.
I mean, in the 70s, it was sort of an epicenter because the Athletics early on and the Raiders with Kenny Stabler and those guys, that's pretty good football.
Yep, absolutely. It's kind of crazy. Like, what has happened to that market?
I guess, San Francisco, they're separated by a bridge. So you have teams in San Francisco and Oakland. San Francisco just absorbed them, I guess. I've driven through Oakland coming back from the wine country going into San Francisco. I think that's the only time I've gone across the Bay Bridge. That's the one in Oakland, right? The Bay Bridge over there. Yeah, so I've never really stayed in Oakland or ever sit in Oakland, but
never been to Northern California at all.
Never
would like to go. No,
never been to wine country.
Nope.
Oh, that's worth it. That's worth the trip. You guys, either one of you, wine country?
You think Tyler's been to wine country?
I don't know about Tyler.
How would I have gone?
Have you ever even opened a bottle of wine?
I've tried it. I don't like the taste.
Yeah.
That's why last year at the kickoff party, I misplaced that bottle of wine that was given to me.
No, don't say that. That was from Nick Johnston, and that was a $100 bottle of wine.
Yeah, Reed found it.
So okay. Well, as long as somebody found it.
Well, yeah, we found it and gifted it to, I think, to mine and Reed's stomachs. We weren't going to let good wine go to waste. Forrester, you and Debbie haven't been out to wine country yet, have you?
No, my only Northern California experience was the Bama-Clemson national title game.
Oh, miserable trip.
Yeah, that
weather sucked.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
not a fun trip.
If you watch Uncorked in the off season, Little T has her wine, and I don't know. EG doesn't drink, so I don't know if she's been to wine country. Jay says the wife and I did an A's and Giants game between a trip to Napa and Russian River. Another great place where wine is made, Russian River, if you're not familiar with that. It was great. Maggie and I went there. It was fantastic. Fantastic. So I always enjoy the trip out there. And Love all the fig appetizers. It was always fig harvesting season when we were out there. All right, baseball conversation there. Last time running through Oakland. The stat I was looking for, since 1979, only 6 NFL teams have made the playoffs after 0-3 starts. You corrected me on that. Our friends at Grace Tree Service cleans up the dead wood. I fumbled that one there and several other things to
well,
start
that might
the
be
show.
correct in the totality of the history of the NFL. I'm just talking about since they expanded the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, this is since 1979. Only 6 teams have made it. You gave me it was only 1 team, right?
Right.
Since they expanded playoffs, so it's easier. It's a wild time since 1979. All my mistakes today covered up by our friends at Great Tree Services. They'll clean up the dead wood at your house as well.
Look, it's something you don't necessarily want to do, but it is a necessity. When you've got trees that have died on your property, they're going to fall. They could damage your home. There's a lot of bad things that could go wrong. That's why I got our friends from Grace to come out. They extracted 4 dead pines from my house just a couple of months ago. Family owned and operated for over 25 years right here in Birmingham. Experts in high-risk tree removals, pruning, soil health, treatment to strengthen your trees and plants. Grace maintains a fleet of specialized cranes and lifts to get the job done right, prevent damage to your home. You've probably seen them rolling around town. Call today. Tell them the next round sent you. 205-281-6100. You can scan that QR code that Scotty's got up there for you on the screen, or just visit gracetree.com. Very important. Make sure you mention the next round.
Okay, we'll get you Kirby Smart getting ready for the trip to Alabama right after I tell you about the great folks at johnstonrvcenter.com. We mentioned Nick and his great gifts to us over the years, every year as we get rolling into a new year up here on our platform. One of them was a great bottle of wines. He's taken us to Talladega in his RV. You can get an RV for him and head to tailgating at Georgia and Alabama, the biggest game of the week. This week. Johnston RV, fall in love with camping and RVing right now. Huge discounts and low payments right now at Johnston RV Center. Traveler trailers as low as $145 a month, and other great deals right there at johnstonrvcenter.com. johnstonrvcenter.com, where they've got RV warranties forever. Right there. Great family time in the fall with our friends at Johnston RV Center, Decatur and Coleman. Those 2 great locations just off I-65. Check them out at johnstonrvcenter.com. All right, Georgia and Alabama. We're over at the Rabbit Hole Friday. 12 to 3 is our show. We'll slide it 3 hours and start at 12, go to 3, and enjoy an afternoon cocktail at the Rabbit Hole, thanks to our friends at Bud Light. That's coming up Friday. Kirby Smart gets asked what beating Alabama would mean to him. I think in they're 1-2 against Alabama, and 48-0 against everyone else in that period of time. So 1-2 against Alabama, 48-0 against everyone else. Here's Kirby Smart on what beating Alabama would mean to him and Georgia.
Over the last 51 games, you've only had 2 losses, both to Alabama. What would winning this game mean to you?
It mean we got to get ready for Auburn. It's really that simple, guys. It's a conference schedule game. It's going to be really tough environment on the road, which sounds like a broken record because the last one we were talking about was a tough environment on the road. And win or lose, the next one's going to be really hard, and the next one's going to be really hard, and the next one's going to be really hard. They all are hard. And in our league, in our conference, you see it every week. It's tough. It's physical. So we got to have a great week of preparation. They got a tremendous team. Nothing but respect for Kalen DeBoer and what he's done with that team and that staff. I think he's done a great job of putting them in a position to grow and get better. And they've gotten better with each game. So we need to do the same this week.
What it means for Georgia and Kirby, though, in my opinion, LT, is it proves he doesn't have an Alabama problem. He proves it was a Nick Saban problem.
Yeah, I talked with Aaron Suttles, and by the way, we will be rolling out a Bama and Bourbon today. We will be doing that after this show. But I talked to him about this last week. It has been a Nick Saban problem, but if he loses this game and goes down 0-1 to Kalen DeBoer and the Kalen DeBoer era at Alabama, I think it does become a narrative nationally that it's an Alabama problem. And even more so, is it a like roster problem for Kirby Smart? I think it's a big game. I think Kirby is underselling it. He's saying the things he typically says, all the cliches, but this game at the back of his head is massive. Like if he could for sure guaranteed one win of games coming up against Texas, Ole Miss, and Alabama all on the road, this is the game he wants.
Yeah, it's a big one. Tyler, if you'll throw me cut number 2. In this game, I don't know where you are on who's got the advantage offense of Alabama or Georgia's defense, but Kirby Smart, one of the great minds in the history of college football when it comes to defense, gets asked about cut number 8. I'm sorry. What did I say? I thought I said 2. Oh, I'm horrible, man. Cut number 8, Kirby Smart, talking about getting ready for Alabama's explosive offense. Here is the Georgia head football coach, and it's a challenge lately the way Jalen Milroe's been playing.
Each week you talk about one of the keys to the game is explosive plays. This Alabama team puts up a lot of explosive plays. How do you prep for that?
Well, you do your job. I mean, they've got explosive plays that are, what would you call off-schedule explosive plays, and they've got on-schedule explosive plays. So when you have a chance at both those, it just increases your opportunity. And their explosives are super explosive. They don't, they're not talking about the 15-20 variety. They're talking about the 50, 60, 70 variety. They've got some really good skilled players out on the perimeter that are explosive. They got a quarterback that defines explosive, and they got good backs. So, when you got good football players and weapons that they have out on the perimeter, it can be explosive. Our job is to try to prevent those, not give up big plays, and a lot of that starts with, how well we play around the quarterback.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Georgia wins the game if they control Jalen Milroe's, usually his off-scripted runs.
It's nearly impossible to control that, though. I think Alabama's one of those teams, and we talked about this with the methodical drives. You don't get that, but this is what you would rather have, because even against elite defenses like Georgia, there's really not much you can do. When you have 12 guys that already have at least one explosive play on this Alabama offense, I mean, those are just going to happen throughout the game. And if you get one or two of those and you force a turnover here or there, that could be the difference in this game.
Yeah, to me, you put so much on Jalen Milroe's play. Just look at what he did at Wisconsin. Runs the ball. Sometimes they're design runs, sometimes they're not. Being able to throw the ball deep and connect on those deep passes. I do feel like Alabama's got more playmakers than they did the last time they rolled in to play Georgia in the SEC championship last week. Georgia's your betting favorite at mybookie.ag. As we wake up today, you look at it, it's -2 Georgia at mybookie.ag. All right, Clay Travis on the other side of the show today, being brought to you by our friends at Odie's LT. Tell us about the great folks at Odie's.
Yeah, getting ready for tomorrow, a little Odie's team trivia. We do that every single Wednesday night, the original location in Crestline. Make sure you come out, join us. Great food from Rodney Davis. He's been doing it for more than 35 years. Ice cold beer buckets full of the Bud Light. Again, incredible food, and we will have team trivia there tomorrow night. Live music every Friday and Saturday. Great place to sit on the patio, enjoy some of the Bud Light, and watch all of the college football action. The original location in Crestline, newest location in Edgewood. Getting in, see Will Haver and that great staff. It's Odie's Tavern.
And our friends at the Pants Store, getting you ready for the big games. Jordan-Hare Stadium, Bryant-Denny with 2 huge games. You got Navy down at UAB. If you want to look your best, you go to the Pants Store. And ladies, too, they got the rompers and the dresses. We're still going to be high 80s, low 90s for a variety of kick times this weekend. For the ladies, the footwear, the Hoka, the New Balance, the Western boots, as I said, the rompers and the dresses. It comes with free alterations. It comes with free gift wrapping this holiday season. E.G. and Taylor always dressed in wonderful gear from the Pants Store on football Saturdays. For the guys, they got the polos, the hats, the quarter zips, and so much more from brand names like Horn Legend, Cutter and Buck, Antigua, and Gentile. Birmingham locations, Huntsville, Leeds, and on campus, near campus at Tuscaloosa and Auburn. It's the game day headquarters, pantstore.com, pantstore.com.
Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Hey, this is Matt Roth, the franchisee of Walk On Sports Bistro in Birmingham. With the kickoff of football season, come visit us at one of our 3 locations, Stadium Trace, Greystone, or Trussville. Come enjoy our scratch kitchen menu while watching one of our 80 TVs. Whether you're looking for a pre- or post-game celebration, game day, or date night, we've got you covered. It's all about the win at Walk On Sports Bistro. Walk On, where everybody needs a little playing time.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President. Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1? Find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2? Stream it now. Miss Hour 3? Download it for later. Miss Hour 4? Well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
Start your day online with our website, nextroundlive.com, for the latest videos, podcasts, and college football stories. It's also a great way to stream the show or shop in the Next Round store. Stay connected by visiting nextroundlive.com.
You can't wait for college football talk every Monday, so we don't make you wait. Ryan Brown here for the Next Round. You can catch ESPN's Tom Luganbill with Jim Dunaway on Monday Morning Live at 7 a.m. I'm with Brandon Marcello on the Middle 8 at 8 after the Next Round. Hear from Alabama coach Kayla DeBoer and Auburn coach Hugh Freeze. After the coaches talk, Fox Sports analyst Brock Hewer joins Lance Taylor for Unlocked at 1 o'clock. All college football, all day Monday, anywhere you get the Next Round.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there. Here at the Next Round, we love our guests, especially our 2024 football regulars. Auburn, Alabama fans, we've got your guys. On Mondays at 9:25, we'll be joined by Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker, and Tuesdays at 9:25, we chat with Auburn quarterback Payton Thorne. Join us and rep your team.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Hey, if you watch the USC-Michigan game, scary moment when Mekhi Lemon's head hit the turf for USC. It does appear he is okay, which is good news. He's working himself through the process, and we'll see how he progresses this week. Could be available as USC plays host to Wisconsin coming up this week. And one of the games, I mean, you look at the points, the names on the sheet this week, LT, looks like a great weekend of college football. Problem is, some of the name brands aren't living up to the expectations. Like,
well, Wisconsin's got a freshman quarterback that's going to be making his first start on the road in the Coliseum. Not that that's like a wild environment, but that number I think is 16.5 now.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 16.5 on that one right there. You look at some of the other name brand games. I mean, Texas's first game in the SEC against Mississippi State, who's maybe the worst team in the league, 38.5. Oregon and UCLA, which on paper historically would look like a really good football game. It's 24.5 for the visiting team going into Pasadena. Utah and Arizona. Utah at home, 12.5 against an Arizona team. For a moment, that looked like that would be a really good contest.
Illinois undefeated going into Happy Valley to take on Penn State, catching 17.5.
Ohio State and Michigan State is 24.5, where in the past, there have been some teams under D'Antoni at Michigan State that would have been a great on-paper matchup.
And even this Colorado team that's coming off a win and they're sitting at 3-1. Now they go to Orlando to take on UCF,
and they're 2 touchdowns.
And they're 2 touchdown underdogs.
So a lot of good-looking games on paper ends up being a little blowout situation there. So, our friends today at Milo's trying to fill the food void in parts of our state.
Yes. How about this? We had the burger bar up here for Rockies going away on Friday. Can you name something better than a Milo's burger? The only answer here, 100 Milo's burgers, which can now be easily done through Milo's Catering. Catering options range from individualized box lunches, ideal for any work or team gatherings, to customized build-your-own burger bars, chicken sandwich bars, which would be a hit at any tailgate. All you got to do, they're offering $10 off for first-time catering orders this fall. Enter the code catering10, all caps, catering10 when you order Milo's Catering through the Milo's app. To learn more about Milo's catering options, please visit miloshamburgers.com/catering. That is miloshamburgers.com/catering. Stay saucy.
All right. So Clay Travis scheduled to be with us in a second. If I asked you your top 5 teams in college football right now, in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how close would it look like the AP poll for you? Do you think they got it right? Texas 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Alabama 4, Tennessee 5. Is that your top 5 in that order?
I don't have – I think those right now are the 5 best teams in college football. I know that people can make an argument maybe for Ole Miss, the way Oregon looked their last time out against Oregon State in Corvallis. Miami has been flawless. Utah, if they ever get healthy with Cam Rising, who knows what they're going to be. But I think the top 5 teams are right. I don't have a problem what order they're in. I mean, obviously Georgia, Alabama is going to take care of itself this weekend. And sooner than later, we're going to see Tennessee on this stage. We're going to see Texas on this stage. The one thing is Ohio State outside of that Oregon game, really, what kind of gauge do we get on them? Like watching them against Marshall again this weekend. I know they were down 7-0. They ended up blowing them out. Didn't cover, but still won the game going away. I think Ohio State's really good. I don't know, though.
I do, too. We don't know
I think
yet.
the problem is going to be they're not going to be battle-tested like either Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss once we get to the postseason.
This is the hardest sentence I've ever had to say. I think, and I don't know, I'll need a comma. This may be 2 sentences. I'm not an English major, but I think Tennessee is the best team in college football, comma, Clay Travis joins the show right now. You got to punch the phone button for me there, Tyler. Clay Travis, I just said it, man. Tennessee's the best team in the country?
Well, I appreciate you coming around to recognize the truth of the matter, which is that Tennessee's back as an elite, high-end college football team, and we'll see what happens. But I feel good about Nico being able to get better and better, and the defense is super elite, and all that factors in a really substantial way.
Yeah, I think that is the one thing that we don't talk about enough is this defense. Going into this game, they had gone 16 quarters going back to last year without allowing a touchdown. And in this game, obviously, Oklahoma's offense, had the 1 touchdown? Or was it 2? I don't know. Anyway, the defense, to me, has been the story with Tennessee through 4 games. And I know, it's Chattanooga, it's NC State, it's Kent State, it's Oklahoma. But we will know sooner than later in the next 3 weeks how good this defense really is when they get – I think it's a little bit of a test against Taylor Green and Arkansas on the road. But obviously when Alabama rolls into Knoxville, you'll figure out whether or not this defense is elite or not.
Yeah, and I think one thing worth keeping in mind is 2 of the first 4 have been road neutral games. So, yeah, I get Chattanooga, Kent State may not be big challenges, but Arkansas, they get a bye week, and then Arkansas in Fayetteville. So 3 of the first 5 games Tennessee plays will be road neutral. But assuming Tennessee can beat Arkansas, and I think they will, Then Tennessee only has one, what I would say is actual road game left, and that is at Georgia, which is obviously a very, very difficult game. But the only other road game is on the road against Vanderbilt, which is a default home game as well. And so you end up in a situation that is really kind of fascinating, where every other game for the rest of the year will be in Neyland. And Josh Heupel has been very, very good in Neyland, has not lost very often. Obviously, in a 12-team playoff era, I think I said on your show, hey, there are 4 games that I think you really kind of have to flag coming into the season: NC State, at Oklahoma, at Georgia, Alabama. And I felt like if Tennessee could go 2-2 in those, that Tennessee would be in the playoff. And I still feel that way, even if Tennessee lost to Alabama and Georgia. And now I think kind of the conversation can shift to, if they can split Alabama, Georgia, and obviously that's a challenge, but if you split Tennessee and Georgia, you probably have a good chance to be in the SEC championship game, playing for that bye into the college football playoff. So, to me, that this is a good time for Tennessee athletics. And I like the analogy I would make, and I think a lot of your listeners will and viewers will appreciate it, is Nico feels to me a little bit like Cam Newton in 2010 with Auburn, by which I mean anybody who remembers that year, Cam was not the same quarterback in September that he was by the time he got to November. Gus Malzahn, that offense got better and better, and they were able to do more and more. I think Tennessee has an elite-level defense, particularly that defensive line, but I think they have a first-round caliber quarterback that, as they continue to move through the season, they're going to add more and more wrinkles to what Nico is able to do. And he's still only started 5 games in his career, so it's a work in progress. But I think what he's going to be capable of when you get into November and you get in theoretically to the playoffs is going to be a lot different than what he's capable of right now in September, and he's not bad now.
So if you're comparing it to Cam Newton, then would I put you on watch, waiting for 5 to 10 years for the NCAA to take the national championship away?
Well, you can pay players now. So unlike when Auburn paid Cam, and that was a violation of the rules, now everybody can make money.
Yeah, Clay Travis is with us on the JohnsonRVCenter.com hotline. Always fun to talk with Clay here. I'm interested in your thoughts on Hugh Freeze after the loss this past weekend. You know how the media works, Clay. You've been doing this a long, long time, and you're great at getting clicks. You do a 25-minute post-game news conference. You may take the blame in the opening and 3 other times in a news conference, but you may throw that one sound bite out where you don't mention in that sound bite that it needs to be better coaching, and you blame it on the players. That's the one that's going to drift around America, and it's going to get talked about. What did you think of Hugh Freeze's post-game news conference and him being, quote, throwing the players under the bus, end quote?
Yeah, I don't think he threw the players under the bus. I also think maybe we have to recontemplate or reconsider what we expect in college when guys are getting paid millions of dollars to play. I think I said on your show recently, I'm of the era where, when I would go to games and I was a kid, when I would be in the Tennessee Stadium, my dad would say, yeah, you don't boo college kids. They're doing the best they can. They're only 18 or 19 years old. Well, that calculus may change a little bit when you got guys making, as you do now, millions of dollars to play. And if they don't perform at a high level, I think that's kind of out the window. We don't have that same expectation necessarily when it comes to NFL coaches, because we understand that all professional athletes are paid based on their performance. And honestly, coaches are too. And so I think we still maybe are applying the standards of traditional college athletics in an era now where you really, to the extent that there was ever a doubt, this is minor leagues, right? This is you can argue it's major leagues, right? That it's the Big Ten and the SEC in particular are not that far down from the AFC and the NFC in terms of interest, in terms of viewership, and even sometimes in terms of pay. The analogy that I like, which still kind of blows my mind is that Brock Purdy's making less in year 3 with the San Francisco 49ers than most starting quarterbacks are in the SEC. And so in that era, I think expecting a higher level of play, Hugh Freeze has criticized himself too. But I mean, is there anybody who's watched Auburn play and thinks the players should be criticized? I mean, I don't know about you, but when you got whatever it is, 10 turnovers, and a lot of them are just ugly, right? Like really poor decisions. I think it's hard to say that the players on Auburn don't deserve a decent amount of criticism for the way that they played.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And he follows that up last night in Tiger Talk. And I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I just don't even know what Hugh's thinking. Like, if we played them, no offense, no disrespect, I love Sam Pittman, but if we played them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. I mean, I really, I mean, what do you think is his message here? What's he doing?
Well, I mean, one, let's see how the team responds this coming weekend because Auburn has got Oklahoma, right? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Coming into town.
Yeah, Auburn this weekend. Oklahoma's a betting favorite at 1.5.
Yeah, and so Oklahoma's brought in a brand new quarterback, talking about throwing people under the bus. I mean, Jackson Arnold was the guy, and then he just gets tossed on the scrap heap. Now you're going with a true freshman. I actually think Auburn's going to win this game. Now, you got a really intriguing situation because Oklahoma didn't do itself any favors in the way that they performed, and certainly Auburn it feels like on the ropes in some way. But I think the coaches are not really doing and saying very much different. Their quarterback play has been subpar, and they're both trying to shift back and forth and figure out what they can do to get somebody who is more able to do the job. And I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know if you made picks, but I think it'll be a low-scoring game, and I think Auburn will find a way to win. I also don't think Arkansas is very good. And so I think it's one thing when you lose a 50-50 game. I think Hugh Freeze went back and watched that, and he's like, man, Arkansas is not a good football team. Now, maybe I'm going to end up being wrong. They're sitting at 3-1. They got A&M, I think, am I right, coming up this weekend? That's always been a really difficult game for them. And then right after that, they're going to have Tennessee. So Arkansas could be sitting at 3-3, and they could be a 5-7 style team before all is said and done. I think Hugh Freeze expected Auburn to be better than they have been so far. I think he's profoundly frustrated that they lost that game to Cal. I don't think he thinks Cal's very good. I don't think he thinks that Arkansas is very good. I think he would have bet a lot of his own personal money that Auburn would be undefeated at this point in time. And he's looking ahead at some of the games on the rest of the schedule and recognizing that unless they start playing at a much higher level, it's already a disappointing season, I think, for Auburn. But it could turn into an absolute disaster of a season. And I don't think he thought he had a team that was going to perform like a disaster of a season team would.
Clay Travis with us today, brought to you in part by our friends at Way to Wellness. We'll tell you about Way to Wellness in just a second. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Clay, it's Georgia and it's Alabama again. Now, this time's it's not for the SEC championships, not in the playoffs or national championships, just a good old-fashioned regular season game. But it still feels important around here. Why is Georgia-Alabama important in your opinion this week?
Well, I'm going to be there, so I'm looking forward. I'll be doing at least one hit for Big Noon. So Fox is sending me in, even though they obviously do not have any of these SEC games. I mean, they had Bama, Wisconsin. I think it's the 12-team playoff, when you look at how tough Georgia's schedule is, you look at the challenges that Alabama has, you look at what Tennessee and Ole Miss are doing, you certainly have to consider Texas, overall number 1 team. Missouri escaped in double overtime against Vanderbilt. Are 5 SEC teams going to get in the 12-team playoff? I feel like maybe the answer is yes. I don't feel like you can get to 6. Maybe I'm wrong, but you're going to get a team that is really good, that is going to get bumped out of this 12-team playoff, and their fan base is not going to be happy about it. Again, I think we'll get 5. I don't know how many you guys think get, but you start doing the math on that, and we may only get 4, right? One of those teams or 2 of those teams that get bumped out and finish 13th or 14th in the pecking order, their fan base is going to be really upset. And if you're Georgia, based on the way they looked against Kentucky, if Georgia loses the game to Alabama, a lot of people are going to say, boy, Georgia still has to go on the road at Texas go on the road at Ole Miss. They still have to play Tennessee. Is this Georgia team good enough to get to 10-2 and guarantee themselves a spot in the playoff? Alabama loses. A lot of Alabama fans are going to be looking around saying, boy, we got to go to Tennessee. We got to go to LSU. Is there another game? I think Alabama has Missouri, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They do.
Start looking around and saying, boy, can we get to 10-2? So I don't think it's the same level of significance in terms of winning the SEC championship. I don't know whether you guys agree with me. I think winning the SEC championship is going to become so far down the flow chart. I think it's good in the context of you get a bye. But if you win the SEC championship and lose your first playoff game, I don't think fans are going to be like, man, this was a great season, right? I think fans would rather have their team be the 11 or 12 seed and win 2 playoff games than win the SEC championship. And I think that's going to become not only in the SEC, but the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC. It's going to become a lot more like the NCAA basketball tournament, where you got to get into the playoff and then you judge your team based on how they do once they get to the playoff, more than you do based on end of the season conference title game results. And I've been arguing for a while. I wish they had just gone to 16 teams and done away with conference championship games and said, hey, if you got 3 teams that finish 11-1, they each get a share of the championship. Let's go ahead and just get them all into the playoff. But I think that's the way that we think about it. The other thing is, we got a story up at Outkick. I hadn't really thought about it, but right now this is the first time Alabama's been a home underdog since George W. Bush was president. That's a pretty wild stat to think about. And so the reason why I bring it up is I think there's a lot of Alabama fans looking around saying, okay, is DeBoer going to be able to extend the level of dominance that Saban did? And one thing that Saban did was always win at home in these big games. And certainly, by and large, he has owned Georgia and Kirby Smart in a time when nobody else can beat Georgia. So I think there's a lot at stake, but I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I'm taking Alabama. I think Alabama's going to win this game, so I'm taking the underdog. But I think it's going to be a low-scoring, 21-17 style game, and I think Alabama will find a way to win.
Hey, two more quick.
Wait, you chuckled when he said that.
Well, I think it's I think this game is set up really nicely for Georgia, but we'll see. Okay. Clay, two more questions. One sports, one non-sports. I think Billy Napier gets a win in Starkville. Mississippi State is awful. I think we can all agree they're the worst team right now, 16 of 16 in the SEC. But I think a guy that is going to start to get mentioned, already being mentioned, is Lane Kiffin to Florida. And I never thought we would live in a time where I would say the Ole Miss coach would turn down Florida. I've got a feeling if he's offered that job, he stays in Oxford. Am I crazy?
Well, I think it depends. Lane will know better than anybody how much of this Ole Miss team is built for this 1 year because of the transfer portal, everything else, and how much is built for sustained excellence. Lane will know that better than you or I would. It seems like it's kind of they put out everything to try to make a run this year, and I get the sense that they will have a decent drop-off next year. And so if you think you're going to drop off and be, let's just say 7-5 or 8-4 after going 10-2 or 11-1, do you think to yourself, hey, I'd rather go to Florida where I know that I could go and barely even have to leave the 2-hour race and have enough players to win a championship, or do I want to stay at Ole Miss? I think it's an interesting question. I think Hugh Freeze may have turned down the Florida job, if I remember, in years past when he was at Ole Miss, and I do think it speaks to the modern era. Look, we've seen a lot of people in college basketball. Mark Few, for instance, at Gonzaga, but before that, Greg Williams, I think, at Wichita State, where guys just said, hey, I think I can win a national championship at a quote-unquote smaller school because the NCAA tournament is such a fair competition. I do think that the 12-team playoff makes it far more likely that you want to stay at a place like Ole Miss over Florida than there would be if they had a championship game or a 14th playoff.
Clay, I really haven't paid attention to it, but I can't escape it. The P. Diddy story, disgusting, disturbing, however you want to put it. More thing, I saw an interview this morning that he did years ago with Conan O'Brien and some of the things he said about raising the temperatures and locking the doors in his parties. I mean, just crazy stuff going on out there. What is your take on what is going down, and ultimately, how does this thing play out?
Yeah, it feels like Epstein level. Kind of chaos with maybe way more celebrities and less political figures involved, a younger cadre of individuals involved. The fact that they won't let him out on bail, despite him offering to post, I think, $50 million. I've always thought, Epstein got killed on suicide watch and the cameras miraculously weren't working and somebody fell asleep there. It's always sounded very suspicious to me. I wonder what tapes he has and what evidence is out there, and whether Diddy could end up with a similar outcome as Epstein, where he never actually goes on trial and he ends up committing, in quotation marks, suicide. I know he's on suicide watch right now.
Yeah, they're already setting it up. This Brooklyn Corrections facilities that he's in, they're painting the picture. It's awful. He's isolated right now, but he's on suicide watch. It's almost like they're setting it up for exactly what happened to Epstein.
I know. I mean, that's kind of my take. And who knows what sort of evidence they have or how many different individuals are involved. But the number of people out there, I think it was Usher, and you guys may have it in front of you right now, who basically just deleted their Twitter accounts. I saw a clip this morning, I don't know if you guys have played it, of LeBron bragging about how awesome P. Diddy parties were. I mean, he goes across sports and music and just culture and fame in a way that few guys would have over the last 25 or 30 years. So who knows who was showing up at these parties and what they were getting into. And also, I mean, how young some of the people were. I mean, I think Usher has talked about being 13 years old at these parties. We know Justin Bieber may have been involved at some point. I mean, we're talking about extreme youth for people to potentially have been involved in these things too.
But isn't this the tip of, I don't usually discuss this kind of stuff with you, Clay, but isn't this the tip of the iceberg of what people have been saying about Hollywood and the entertainment industry for a long, long time?
Well, look, I think I think you can say it about anything. The general rule, and this is why let's put it in sports perspective, but also Hollywood. I mean, I think I've talked about this with you before. Most people don't turn into Leonardo DiCaprio. And you say, what do I mean by that? I mean, you're famous at a young age and you continue to produce incredibly high-end, whatever you think about DiCaprio, levels of movies for 20, 30 years. Most people don't turn into LeBron James. And it's because money makes you more of whatever you are, right? And that's why they worry so much about big signing bonuses in the NFL or the NBA, because when guys get that $100 million guarantee, how many of them are still going to go full bore as hard as they could? And the other thing is celebrity creates a lot of people who always want to say yes to you. And when that happens, there is no check when you combine the money and the celebrity. And so I think over time that creates all sorts of crazy stuff. I remember making a joke years ago. Matthew McConaughey probably has been able to walk into any bar in America and leave with the best-looking girl in the bar for 30 years. And I remember joking, like, do you think McConaughey ever gets bored with that? And, like, he's a straight guy, but just tries to see if he could, like, get a straight guy to leave with him? Because, there's no challenge for him in having the prettiest girl in the bar leave with him for 30 years. He's like, I got to find some sort of challenge. And kind of joking about that, but I do think it creates sort of strange incentive structures that normal everyday life doesn't typically allow to happen. And then, when you basically have decided, remember, Diddy has been famous for so long that every athlete who grew up would have seen him, right? And they are impressed by his celebrity and the fact that he knows their name. And so I I would imagine just the craziness that he got into
Yeah.
is certainly going to impact sports and Hollywood and music in a way that maybe nobody else's fame ever has.
Clay Travis from Outkick and his radio show every afternoon with Buck. Thanks for being with us, Clay. We'll talk to you next week after hopefully another great Alabama-Georgia game. Have a good week, and we'll be back in a second here on the next round. Joe Klatt will join the show to talk a little college football with us. Show being brought to you by our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living. Way to Wellness gets you back into the game you want to get into. A lot of new offers that they have for you down there we'll be telling you about soon. But right now, if you're a dietitian and looking for a gig right now, they've grown so much at Way to Wellness. They've got an opening for you. Check them out. Go to the website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com, and you may see, or you will see, an opportunity there to click on and find out about a job opening at Way to Wellness. Leslie and her board-certified team taking care of everybody there. They've been taking care of me for years, lowering my weight, but also my blood pressure and cholesterol. No contracts, no sign-up fees, and that first consultation is free. It's our friends at Way to Wellness, your journey to healthy living.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Bright Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
You never know what we're up to here at The Next Round. The easiest way to stay in the know with our antics and adventures is to follow The Next Round across all social media platforms at Next Round Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Whether it's Dunaway sleeping in the studio, Tim and Lunsford breaking down the latest movie release, or Game Day Chronicles, we are here to keep you updated on the latest sports news while, of course, having just a little bit of fun. Follow at Next Round Live across all platforms to join in. Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant Denny or Jordan Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from The Next Round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
Want more of the show? Download the app or visit nextroundlive.com for the latest podcast, The Mystery Fifth Hour, our Not For All Ages podcast, The Last Call, and the entire Double Down Media podcast family. All at nextroundlive.com and on the Next Round app.
Back with you on The Next Round. My apologies to Joel Klatt. I'm 4 minutes late getting to him, and that is a It's an epidemic with me, Klatt. I am not good on time. Can you imagine in my local TV days having to be my producer? I think my local TV time in the 10 o'clock news back in the day was 3 minutes and 20 seconds to do a whole sportscast. And they had final weather after me and the end of the show. Can you imagine?
The weather guy hated you.
Oh, hated me. His 7-day forecast was, we were an NBC affiliate, so they would play the tones, boom, bum, bum. He'd get the tone in and say, hey, sunny tomorrow, rain on the weekend. Thanks for being with us. That's all he would have.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
no, I mean, you don't have to apologize.
Yeah,
I used to do shows like this. I know it's hard. You get on a topic and you just start talking.
Time is valuable, man. Joe Klatt, he is the analyst on the Big Noon Kickoff. And this week, they've got a good one in Minnesota and Michigan. We'll get to the games going on in the SEC and around the country in a second. But all of a sudden, Michigan is back to life with one win. It feels like, and now they only threw it 32 yards, but it feels different this week about Michigan than it did going into this game last week.
Well, here's the way that I would put it as I watch the film and get ready for this week. This feels more like Michigan, and as we kind of expected before the year, this has a very low ceiling. Maybe a higher floor than what they were trying to do before, but a low ceiling. And maybe the reason that they were trying to force Davis Warren and have some element of passing game is because they felt like, hey, maybe this is our chance to be the best version of us we can possibly be. But the problem is trying to do that. They weren't playing within their blueprint, within their philosophy. They weren't winning the field position battle. They weren't winning the turnover margin. And those are things that Michigan just did last year. In fact, they were number one in the country in both of those things, turnover margin and field position, net field position. So if you're going to play their style and try to protect your defense, you've got to run the football. And they did that. Now, it is a low ceiling team, to be quite honest with you. That's not an elite football team, even though they got the win over USC. They got a win over USC because they understood how to get into a phone booth and fight really hard.
Right.
And they did so. But it's not like they just bullied USC around. In some aspects, yes, they were able to whip the offensive line of the Trojans, and the O-line for the Trojans now has played really poorly against LSU and now Michigan. And Miller Moss was the bearer of a lot of that pressure. But USC was coming back. They have the lead. Like they're gonna win the game, and there's nothing Michigan can do outside of a broken tackle. It's so. Yes, I don't know if Michigan has announced themselves back on the throne of the Big Ten or as a contender for some of these top level teams. But what they are is much more dangerous because you at least now have to go beat them rather than them beating themselves. Man, I felt like there was a lot of coach speak in that answer. There was a lot of, threw out a lot of the.
Here's another one for you, Klatt. And this is a question 5 years ago would have been laughable. But it is a different era right now in college football. And I found it very interesting. In his fourth game of the season, Jackson Arnold was pulled. Now, I think Venables probably needed to do this. The guy is turning the football over at an alarming rate. But is there a chance we don't see Jackson Arnold again in an Oklahoma uniform?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a chance. I have so many thoughts. I was shocked, when I'm hearing everybody and I didn't get a chance to really see the game very much. Thanks a lot, Wi-Fi in the airplane. So I was like, okay, I need to go back and watch the film. I turned the film on and I dropped my iPad in disgust multiple times at the Oklahoma offense. Guys, this was not a Jackson Arnold problem, although he was problematic. Do you follow me there?
Yep, I do.
This was an entire failure on offense. They were bad on the offensive line, both in terms of their scheme and their fundamentals. They were not great at running back, didn't show much vision. The protection plan in general was, choose my words the run game plan was egregiously bad, and Tennessee had a wonderful game plan. Wonderful game plan. It was straight out of the old 80s and 70s of defending the triple option, where they had a running back player or a dive player, they had a quarterback player, and they had a tight end player, or basically like the passing option. So it's the old version of you got to stop the dive, you got to stop the quarterback, and you got to stop the pitch man. And Tennessee had guys designated for that. So here's what ends up happening is because there's a designated quarterback player, then Jackson Arnold is giving the football in the middle of the offensive line. But the offensive line is not, it's so bad, guys. They're not realizing that the responsibilities have traded between the defensive end and the linebacker. So they're leaving the defensive end unblocked, but now the defensive end is the running back player. And the linebacker, which they're trying to climb and block, is outside as the quarterback player because they've switched. So guess what happens? The running back gets tackled every time. And they didn't adjust. Not one time. And I feel kind of bad for Jackson Arnold because they were still trying to run the football with him. And then that's not working. And then he kind of like panics on a run read, even though that run's going to go for 1 yard. And I'll get to Brent Venables in a moment. So he kind of pulls the ball out, and then there is an RPO out there, and he just kind of throws it. Was it backwards? Was it not backwards? I'm not sure. The film is at best inconclusive. That's a bad turnover. He fumbles inside of the 5. That's a bad turnover. So yes, his play was problematic. There is no doubt. But the entire offense was a problem. The scheme, everything about it. Now let's get to Brent Venables. So Brent Venables, after the game, throws Jackson Arnold under the bus about that specific play, talking about how that's a run read all day long. We don't even have a backwards pass in our system. Then why is the wide receiver behind the quarterback?
That's right.
I'm sorry, because as a coach, you're either coaching or allowing what you see on the film. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that it was ambiguous at best whether that was a run read or a pass read, because of what I just explained to you in the previous answer about the way Tennessee was defending the RPO system. Jackson Arnold, if he hands that ball off on a quote unquote from Brent Venables, 100% a run read, it's tackled for no gain. So what do you want him to do? So now they bench him. Okay, you know what? And Lance, to your point, it's like, hey, man, you can't, throw it backwards. You can't fumble inside the 5. Fine. That's fine. His play was problematic. You put Michael Hawkins in, but now the game has deteriorated to a point where it's just a drop back passing game. And they no longer are trying to run the RPO zone read game. So now they have abandoned this atrocious run game that was getting Jackson Arnold nowhere. And so now Michael Hawkins is running an offense that's abandoned that, and it's a little bit better. There's a little bit more cohesiveness, although the protection issues, which were persisting in the first half for Arnold, are the exact same protection issues that are persisting in the second half with Michael Hawkins. He's just elusive enough to kind of like get out of there and run for a couple of yards here and there. But these problems will persist regardless of who the quarterback is. So everyone for OU is really like, oh man, thankfully, Michael Hawkins is our savior. I feel bad because now the pressure and all that weight is on his shoulders. And I'm not sure that offensive game plan and that offense in general can handle what they're about to do. They didn't do well against Houston. This is not just one game where Arnold goes out there and it's like, this isn't working because of him. Something is wrong. All right? You can't change one ingredient in the spaghetti and expect the entire spaghetti to be better when the meat is bad, the entire sauce is bad, the noodles aren't cooked right. What do you expect? Just because you're sprinkling a little bit of different Parmesan cheese is going to change the dish? No. That answer is a no. I know this is a long-winded answer, but I feel bad for Jackson Arnold. Is he going to leave? Maybe, and probably. And we'll kind of see how that goes on. But man, I'm like that offensive game plan, guys, the film was awful. Awful. Let me give you an example, and it's hard to explain, but hopefully you guys can get this. They were in an empty formation, so there's nobody back there with the quarterback, and it's just 2 receivers on the left, 3 receivers to the right. Tennessee wants to run cover 1, means a 1 middle safety in the middle of the field, and everybody else is in man coverage, okay? We kind of understand what that looks like.
Yep.
Well, here's what it looks like practically is that there's 2 defenders over those 2 receivers into the short side of the field and 3 defenders right over in man defense, the 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. And there's 1 linebacker left. And that linebacker was lined up towards the wide side of the field about on the offensive tackle, okay? There's 4 down linemen and there's that 1 linebacker. You have 5 offensive linemen and that 1 linebacker and 4 down defensive linemen, which means you've got 5 to block 5. You have 5 to block 5, as long as you're targeted the right way. And they slide their offensive line to the short side of the field, as if the linebacker, who's head up in man defense on the slot player, is a blitzing threat, which he's not because it's man defense. The only linebacker that is any threat to rush the quarterback is the one that does not have man responsibility. In fact, if he's in man, he's man on the quarterback. And they're sliding away from that linebacker who blitzes and is unblocked, and now Hawkins has to start running around. I dropped the iPad and I thought to myself, this is egregious. You can't, what? It's like, what are we doing? I know I'm getting all like worked up and been out of shape, but I look on social media now and everyone's like, oh man, Jackson Arnold was terrible. Hawkins is going to be great. No, I hope Hawkins is a lot better, and maybe his elusiveness will help them out.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying that, Klatt. I think, and I said this before the game.
I'm not suggesting you were.
I think
I'm glad you asked about that in general, because I wanted to say all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, look, they don't have an established running back. The offensive line has been shaky. I mean, there is a lot going on with this
shaky,
offense.
bro.
Yeah,
shaky is an understatement.
Well, now they roll into one of the tough venues in all of college football in Jordan-Hare, and you talked about Venables throwing his quarterback under the bus. What about the Hugh Freeze situation?
Are we gonna? This is what
you're on a roll, so we're just gonna sit back and be entertained.
It's just you throw out there the propaganda of like, oh, a tough environment like Jordan-Hare. Hey, bro, like Cal just won.
I know. I get it.
So like, what are we doing? Like every venue is tough in the SEC. LSU overrated. Texas A&M vastly overrated. And yet they continually get ranked at the back end. Or this idea, it's like, well, now if OU can beat Auburn somehow in Jordan-Hare, which is this great environment, and then we're going to crown them and say they're great, and forget that Justin Wilcox took the Fighting Berkeleys into Jordan-Hare and beat Auburn. Like, come on. And everyone's like, you're an SEC hater. Really? I'm not an SEC hater. That is just truth serum to your throat. That's what it is.
Okay, anyway, 2 bad losses early on. More of a point, what is Auburn? We just had Payton Thorne on the show before you. Payton Thorne skipped his NIL last week. He came back with us today, and we threw some questions at him. But, what do they do with their quarterback situation? Hugh Freeze is throwing his quarterbacks under the bus. Is that a valid point from Hugh? And then Hugh goes on record yesterday and says, you know what, if we played Arkansas 9 more times, we'd beat them 9 times.
I don't know what Hugh is doing. I generally despise when head coaches throw their quarterbacks under the bus, even if the quarterback's play is the reason. It's like, hey, at some point as a leader, and I feel like this as a quarterback when you talk about wins and losses. When you win, it's we, and when you lose, it's I, right? And a head coach has to do that as well. Now, it'll end up hurting him in recruiting because every other program in the country just clipped off all of those comments, and they will run them in front of every recruit that they're in competition with Auburn for. So he's cutting off his nose to spite his face a little bit in terms of the way that he talks about his quarterbacks, even if it's true, Lance. And I don't know that it's 100%, but even if it's true, that's just philosophically, I think a precarious way to go. And now they've got to figure out the quarterback issue. I think both of those teams are struggling mightily. And unfortunately for the rest of the country, the winner of that game is going to get some sort of propaganda bump, which stems from your first question.
Joe Klatt of Fox Sports is with us. They've got Minnesota playing in the Big House against Michigan, 11 a.m. on the Big Noon Kickoff on Fox this week. And he's always kind to be with us every week, thanks to our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Despite your hatred for the SEC, biggest game in the country, Georgia, number
So
2. At number
clean.
4, Alabama, you get that very, very dynamic atmosphere at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Well, this game feels different because there's no trophy on the line. We've seen this so much for the SEC championship, the national championship. Now it's a regular season game in a 12-team playoff. But it does feel important for Kirby Smart, who in the last 51 games is 1-2 against Bama and 48-0 against everybody else. How important is this for Kirby to say it was a Nick Saban problem and not an Alabama problem?
Yeah, I actually think it's vital for both of these guys. Because if Kirby can say, hey, like, it was Nick Saban, and everyone's kind of like, yeah, and we get it, and you don't struggle with anybody else, obviously. I think their last loss outside of Bama didn't Florida beat them in like
Yeah, it was Dan Mullen.
Yeah, it was COVID year was their last regular season loss. Yeah, cocktail party.
That's cool. I mean, that's wild. Yeah. So he's had this incredible run. He's the best coach currently in college football. And it's easy to explain away. It's like, hey, man, we couldn't get over my mentor, the best ever, the GOAT, Nick Saban. And everyone's kind of like, yeah, I get it. If he loses to Kalen DeBoer, and now that signals, actually, bud, you have an Alabama problem, not a Nick Saban problem. So yes, there's some pressure and some stress towards the Georgia angle. But then conversely, if you're Kalen DeBoer, then this is a measuring stick. It's like, hey, listen, our standard is that we beat Georgia here, and you're the only thing that's different. So I do think that there's some internal, even in what is kind of a honeymoon year, I would expect. I just don't think that lasts very long at a place like Alabama. An Alabama fan could probably talk themselves into on a Tuesday before the game, hey, I hope this is close, and in a 12-team year, maybe it doesn't matter. But on Saturday, if you lose that game in Bryant-Denny, you're going to walk out of that stadium frustrated and thinking in your back of your head, like, are we taking a step back? And so that's why I think that there's some pressure, obviously, on both sides, which makes the game a massive game. I would also just point out that because Bama and Georgia both play what I would consider to be more difficult schedules than others in the conference, specifically Georgia, these games become huge. Now, is the loser of this game more likely than not going to end up in the playoff? Yes. Is the loser of this game more likely than not going to wind up in the SEC championship game? And I would say that's a lot more difficult, especially when you look at the schedule that Ole Miss has, the schedule that Missouri has, and what they could potentially be, the way that Tennessee played against OU, what Texas is doing right now in the schedule that they have as compared to Georgia. So the loser of this game is going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to get themselves back in a position to secure one of those top 4 seeds and a bye. So if you're going to lose this game, can you still go win a national championship? Absolutely. And in theory, could you go win the SEC? Yeah, probably. But it's going to be harder to win the SEC than it is to win the national championship. And to win the national championship, you're probably subjecting yourself to 17 games and not 16. So while it's different than previous years, I do still think that there's a lot on the line in terms of what happens to the loser of this game.
So we know the quarterback situation will be magnified in Auburn this weekend, but where you're going to be in the Big House, I can't think of a worse quarterback matchup. I'm just being honest with you.
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
I've watched Minnesota.
I'm not going to sling Big Ten propaganda out here.
I can't believe Fleck is in this situation. Your colleague.
I can't believe Michigan's in this situation.
Yeah, well,
they won the national championship.
But, your colleague Brock Hewitt brought up a good point on the show yesterday. He said, look, Michigan is a program that develops players. Even JJ was one of these guys that came in. They like to develop these quarterbacks. They like to develop the players. And, they just obviously haven't gotten it right to this point.
No, and that's problematic. It is somewhat alarming that it's like, how can you win the national championship, have the last 3 seasons that you did, and be in this situation at quarterback? That's certainly alarming, and I think they would even admit that. Brock's not wrong. This is a development program. I think that we expect teams that win a national championship because of the history of the national champion in the playoff era. We just expect reload and let's go. It's because the teams that win it are normally like Alabama, Georgia, Clemson won a couple of them, and what did we expect from them? That they're right back there because they're recruiting in the top 5 and they can reload and they can get after it. And then those teams also have the ability to do that through the transfer portal. Michigan has always been a bit more of a development. I would say they're a high-end development program. Okay. So they got some guys back last year, won the national championship through development and retaining a lot of really good veteran players. All of those guys leave, and they're going to take a little bit of a dip as opposed to what some of those other programs do on an annual basis. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think Michigan needs to lean into who they are, their philosophy. If you're going to throw it 12 times, throw it 12 times and go out there and try to win the football game. And their ceiling's going to be a little bit lower than maybe if they could throw it, but that's what they're going to be this year.
He's Joel Klatt. He's on his way back to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we appreciate you sliding from a Monday to Tuesday to work us into your busy week, man. You're the best.
No, that was my fault. I'm actually on the school board of my kid's school.
That's amazing.
All-day meeting yesterday. So
was it that much fun?
It was lovely.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Oklahoma tape, and so I came on a little bit angry today. Maybe I'm just not in a great
Joe
mood
Castellano
today.
gave him a 3-year extension after 10 wins in year 2, by the way. I don't know why you give coaches extensions like after 2 years when you're unsure whether or not they're going to be the guy, but hey, whatever.
I will say, like, OU's defense was elite. It's going to be hard on that Auburn offense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, in all actuality, because OU's defense is really good. Tennessee's legit on offense. They can move it. They can play. And that defense kept them in the game. Totally kept them in the game.
So on the fly, more total touchdowns your game on Saturday or in Jordan Hare between Oklahoma and Auburn? More offensive touchdowns.
Well, now you said offensive because we've got Will Johnson in our game, and so
don't throw his way. By the way, Miller Mall, stay away from that guy.
What are we doing? Will is a really good player.
Keep in mind, in my lifetime,
I'll go your game. I think your game has more touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah, in my lifetime, I've seen Auburn beat Mississippi State 3-2. So anything can happen.
That's incredible.
Anything can happen.
By the way, I love defensive games. There is some beauty in defensive play. I used to love watching the late 90s or mid 90s Braves team. Like watching Greg Maddux win a game 2-0 in 2 hours and 18 minutes was like gorgeous.
Yep.
That's all.
Those 4-pitch innings, that extends your career a little bit. Always. Really, really good.
Always.
All right, Joel Klatt.
It's good to be with you, boys.
Yeah, you too, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Joel Klatt, great PTA member and also Fox Sports analyst. Love him to death. Appreciate him. Brought to you by our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. They bring you Joel Klatt every week and all of our other football guests like Roman Harper. And they also get you back in the game with MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Jump in there right now and sign up. And use our promo code Next Round. Next Round, you get a sign-up bonus, and then you're ready to have all the fun the rest of this football season. It's only week 5, so much more fun still to go the rest of the season. MyBookie.ag, mybookie.ag, promo code Next Round. No space there. Put Next Round together, and you're in the game. Show LT also being brought to you by our friend Dr. B, the guy that's got Urine Brownie's hair, making a comeback.
Yeah, I did the treatment last night on the couch. So simple. Just sitting back watching a little Monday Night Football. I do the non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time on the couch. Hair has more than doubled in thickness. If you're starting to thin out, I've had a lot of guys reach out to me. Feel free to do so. I can tell you more about my experience with Dr. Beckenstein. He is the absolute best for more than 20 years. Women and men have turned to Dr. B for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use his experience, advanced training, genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. Call Dr. B and that incredible staff today. Schedule the consultation, 205-319-0316. That's 205-319-0316. Again, I'm doing the non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes time. On the couch. That is it. For more information, t3hair.net.
Troy says, we have Thorne in our game handing out picks like Oprah. You get a pick. You get a pick is what he's saying there. Eric says, I love capital letters Klatt, breaking down the X's and the O's of the game right there. Good for Joel Klatt being on with us. That, of course, pushes upset alert, pushes 4 downs into the next segment. We do have the viewing menu today and a great release here. Tyler's got to what we're watching tonight, but we've got The Legend from Daniel Moore. It is out now, The Legend, Daniel Moore's tribute to Coach Nick Saban and his 6th national championships in his seasons at the capstone. There is the look there of what the print will look like. Pre-order right now at danielmooreart.com. Pre-order right now at danielmooreart.com. Nick Saban's got some autograph prints available too. Coach Saban's agreed to sign a limited number of prints. A portion of those proceeds of the autograph prints will go to benefit the continued great works, millions of dollars they've given from Nick's Kids, the Nick's Kids Foundation. Autograph prints are going fast, so if you want an autograph print from the Nick Saban, you need to go right now and order yours at danielmooreart.com. It's The Legend. danielmooreart.com. Back in a moment.
There's only one Champy's world famous fried chicken. Poor boy's tenders, full fried chicken plates, and a little bit of the Mississippi Delta with chicken on a stick and hot tamales. On your way to or from the big game on Highway 119 in Alabaster, stop by Champy's Chicken.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
From the creators of The Next Round comes 2 new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. 2 team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
You never know what we're up to here at The Next Round. The easiest way to stay in the know with our antics and adventures is to follow The Next Round across all social media platforms at Next Round Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Whether it's Dunaway sleeping in the studio, Tim and Lunsford breaking down the latest movie release, or Game Day Chronicles, we are here to keep you updated on the latest sports news while, of course, having just a little bit of fun. Follow at Next Round Live across all platforms to join in. Happy football season. At The Next Round, we strive to make our loyal listeners feel like they're a part of the action all season long. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter, and I do that by bringing you along for any given Saturday in Auburn or Tuscaloosa. From pregame warm-ups, touchdowns that make you feel a part of the play, and everything in between, our goal is to make you feel like you're inside Bryant-Denny or Jordan-Hare. Follow along on our social media at Next Round Live on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Also, check out thebarnauburn.com and covercrimson.com while you're at it. Here's to fall Saturdays.
We talk about all the biggest games every Monday at 10:30 with Fox Sports analyst Joel Klatt, presented by MyBookie.ag, promo code NEXTROUND. If it is meaningful at all in college football, we cover it Mondays with Joel Klatt, presented by MyBookie.ag on the Next Round.
The World Wide Web is a large place. Find all your favorite people and content in the same spot. NextRoundLive.com is full of wonderful tidbits about the show you know and love. Find our gear, listen to your favorite personalities, follow our socials, and enjoy your trip to NextRoundLive.com.
Hang out with the Next Round on the go. Whether you're driving to work, running errands, sitting on the beach, or you just need a break from the real world, we can keep you company. Check out the Next Round, Mystery Fifth Hour, and our other shows on your favorite podcast app. We'll meet you there.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the Next Round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
All right, final hour of the show, always brought to you by our friends at Champy's. Champy's world-famous fried chicken. Boy, if you missed Joel Klatt today, or you've missed Payton Thorne, two really good insights. Payton into your Auburn Tigers. Joel Klatt really knee-deep into Oklahoma and the team that's coming to Jordan-Hare this weekend. Go back and check those where they're podcasted, but also here on our YouTube channels. And Taylor and Scott will be sending out some interesting bites from those throughout the weekend. Champy's Chicken, always the interesting menu that you get down there. Sterling and the crew on Highway 119 in Alabaster. You can't beat that deep-fried Southern fried chicken that's brined overnight. Sterling special sauce there. He brines it overnight. It's cooked to order. It's piping hot. The hand-cut chicken fingers, the Mississippi Delta recipe tamales, and so much more. Highway 119 in Alabaster for over a decade. It is Sterling and the folks at Champy's world-famous fried chicken. All right, a little late, about 30 minutes with our upset alert today, looking at some of the great college football games happening this weekend. We're going to get to those in a second now. Maybe an appearance from the Brown Bandit in this segment is a possibility. You've got the button ready to hit over here for the upset alert. You're almost ready to go for that. We're going to get that to here in a second and get ready for what is already week 5 of the college football season, which is hard to believe, and more good Friday night football coming up this weekend. Remember, when you play the Pick 3 over at nextroundlive.com, that'll be up for you on Wednesday or Thursday. Can't play the Friday games, but we got good ones this week. Virginia Tech and Miami, and an interesting Washington-Rutgers game. And don't sleep on Army and Temple, by the way. Both of those teams pretty good in the American so far on Thursday night. So you have good week football, but then on Saturday it's really good. Before I tell you about McCurry Car and Truck Rental and we hit the big button, it's time to look at the standings, I think. And it's a little embarrassing, the standings, to be honest with you. Because
I haven't seen them, but I think I'm hanging around.
You're hanging around. You're 2-2.
So, yeah, Forster with the big upset there. So how did that work? He got
5. You get 5 for a cover.
Yeah, and then
7.5 more with BYU. So he's hit a couple of those now. And he's, I think you've won 2 outright and covered another, Forster. I believe that is the way he's gotten to 3-1. 29 points for Forster. But again, you can make it up by getting these. It's not as big of a lead as it would look last year.
Yeah, I'm about to get 11 points this week.
Oh, LT calling his shot, sitting there at second, 14.5. I'm at 10.5, and the Brown Bandit down there at just one cover. Forster has pulled the microphone close. Do you have something to say now, Forster, or would you like to wait?
Oh, I was just going to say, if you're that confident about your game, LT, then you feel a lot better about that than any game I saw.
Yeah, I really don't, but let's put it this way, Forster. If he does hit, I'm gonna collect 11 points on you.
All right.
This is a tough week.
But man, I do feel pretty good about this, actually, just because of the spot, the teams. Once I unleash it, you'll be like, okay, that makes sense.
Makes sense. McCurry Van and Car Rental, they bring you the spotlight every day, which is Upset Alert on Tuesday. Great locations. The one I go to is up in Coleman when it's time to rent. But if you're in for the big game this weekend, if you're coming to Tuscaloosa looking for a place to roll in and get a rental car or a van, they've got that location in Tuscaloosa, in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in Muscle Shoals, Athens, Huntsville, and in Meridian, Mississippi. And don't forget, McCurry Van and Car Rental also has commercial fleet rentals as well to help you out. It's all right there online at McCurryRentals.com, McCurryRentals.com.
The College Football Spotlight.
Sound the alarm. College football's upset alert.
We'll save the Brown Bandit because he's in last. We usually go the person in last first, but we're going to save the Brown Bandit until after we've all unveiled our picks. I'll start us off this week, and then we'll go to Lance and then Forrester up the leaderboard. I'm in for the show this week. Down at the Bounce House. Should be a fun game. I'm going to ride with Colorado, the Buffaloes.
Yeah, your Buffalo looks much better than they will play Saturday.
You don't expect a good game?
No. I mean, look, to win the way they won on Saturday night against Baylor, maybe that builds a little momentum. They're still sitting at 3-1. They've got everything in front of them. They're one loss out of conference to Nebraska. I don't think there's any way their defense can hold up against Central Florida's offense. Now, offensively, I think they're going to be able to score some points, but I just don't see them winning this game. That would be a massive upset.
Gus Malzahn has UCF in the conversation for the Big 12. Colorado's my pick. I'm just looking for a cover right now, boys. I'll be honest with you. I hope they have a chance at a Hail Mary at the end just to get me 5 points.
Okay, I avoided, because I kind of threw this together, I avoided drawing the actual Seminole. But Florida State heading into Dallas, we talked about this game early in the season, and I thought it was going to benefit SMU because I thought they might be able to sneak up on Florida State. Now, Florida State's coming off their first win, beating Cal 14-9. And you really look at Florida State, it's been a bad product, but they could easily be 3-1. They could have easily won the Georgia Tech game where they lost in a walk-off by 3. The Memphis game, they lost by a possession. I don't think Florida State is very good. And obviously their quarterback play is a major downgrade with DJU from what you had with Jordan Travis. But I do think the defensive front is going to give SMU's offensive line fits. And so Kevin Jennings will be running for his life. I like Florida State plus 6.5. I could see Florida State pull off the upset straight up here. I think you could have a live dog situation, but I do like FSU in this spot.
All right, FSU is the play there from Lance in our McCurry Van and Car Rental upset alert. Now we go back to Forrester. I'll need cut 12 ready to go for you, Tyler. All right, Forrester, you've been so good at this. You were not very confident when you walked in the door this morning at 7:09. What do you got for me?
I had a really hard time finding one that I felt like could be a live dog, could pull it off. So I'm going way off the board. Normally I'll sneak a peek at your boards to make sure I don't.
You sneak a peek?
Just to make sure I don't duplicate your picks. There was no way you were going to duplicate. We're going to a game that you couldn't pay me to watch.
Oh, one of those.
One of those.
Does it involve a directional Michigan school?
No.
Okay.
It involves 2 New Mexico schools, though.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. We've got 0-4 New Mexico giving 9.5
to New Mexico State?
To New Mexico State.
And you're taking?
I am taking the Aggies.
Wow. The team that...
Hey, you can watch it, 7 o'clock ESPN Plus.
On the Ocho?
Yeah. Well, it's not even on the... Yeah, I guess it is kind of on the Ocho.
So you got a 9.5?
I got 9.5.
9.5.
On the Aggies.
And you got the Aggies. That's the team that won in Jordan Hare. New Mexico is the one that made Hank Brown a star.
Correct.
Both know where the good lemonade in the country is, down in Auburn, Alabama. So Scott Forrester goes plus 9.5 with New Mexico State. That gets us to the Brown Bandit, who's been so good the last 2 years. But something's wrong with the Brown Bandit. And
he stole from old ladies in week 1. That's bad karma, man.
That may be bad karma. Listen in. Here's the Brown Bandit.
Hey, guys. It's the Brown Bandit. I've had to go in hiding. As you know, the Brown Bandit picks have not done well.
No.
I've already burned through all that cash I stole from those 2 old ladies, and I have got people after me everywhere, so I've got to be quick here.
Hit it, LT.
I apologize for being in hiding, but in hiding, I have looked at all the games this week, and I just so happen to have a whiteboard with my pick on it. We are taking Maryland plus the 7.5 against Indiana. Hoosiers getting way too much love. They're a basketball school, not that Maryland's not, but they can't keep this up in football. Maryland plus the 7.5. We don't need them. I can't yell it because they're after me. We don't need them.
Scary Brown Bandit.
I do think this is an interesting test for Kirk Cignetti and Indiana, and I think a lot of people, I started talking about them a couple of weeks ago. Everybody is on this Indiana bandwagon when you start to look at their schedule. But this could be one of these situations, and I've seen it in the past, and I talked about this last week on a Lance's Lock podcast. This Indiana team might be one of these they just can't get the number right on. Like, I don't know how you make it more than 7.5 against Maryland, but maybe Indiana's 2 touchdowns, baby. Maybe Maryland wins the game outright. I think this Indiana team is really, really good.
So the Brown Bandits on Maryland plus 7.5. Scott's on New Mexico State plus 9.5. I've got Colorado plus 14.5, and LT goes with Florida State plus 6.5. That's our McCurry Van and Car Rental upset alert of the week. Before we get to our 4 downs today, trash still to come, I want to tell you about our friends at NASCAR as we go racing again over at Talladega. An opportunity. A lot of you just go to people watch. My mom went for years just to camp out with her friends who would come down from the north. You got free camping. You've got great ticket prices. You can get all the information you need at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. And don't forget the garage experience. You can upgrade there and go immersive into your top drivers as they are in the playoffs and see how they get the cars ready to go. It's all rolling right there at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. The Buck and Dega Rodeo, the Jake Owen concert, and the Yellowwood 500. TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, and also by our friends at Inverness Country Club. Tell us about our friends at Inverness Country Club, and then we'll get to what Landmine Believer.
I talked to our friends, Lauren Sisler and John Willard, last night about the event that we are planning on October the 15th. We will give you more information about that, and this will be an event that we can actually have some of the Next Round listeners come out to and basically have kind of an open house when it comes to Inverness Country Club. We had a couple of guys come up here on Friday when we had the burger bar, and I had no idea. My buddy Ken is a member at Inverness and says that he's out there playing all the time. They were the guys playing behind you guys a couple of weeks ago. He mentioned it.
That hit into me?
Yeah, they hit into you. But look, the social membership, which is fantastic, including the resort-style pool complex, full-service cabana and bar, live music on Fridays, Sunday brunch, the golf with the beautiful course, currently expanding the driving range. Child care, also big plus. You and your wife on a day of golf or tennis. Guess what? You can drop the kid and go have yourself a day on the court or course. Dinner with friends, knowing your kid is safe on site. Big plus there. Maybe you work from home. What about working from the club while they watch your kid? Whatever your interests are, you can find in Inverness. Take a tour of this great club today. Call Aaron, 205-991-8608. That's 205-991-8608 or online, iccalabama.com.
Brett Favre is testifying before Congress today. And he revealed today that he has been recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. This comes as an opening statement during his testimony at a congressional hearing on federal welfare reform. This from Yahoo Sports Today. Favre is there speaking before the House Ways and Means Committee discussing guardrails regarding dispersing the temporary assistance for needy families. Obviously, back in Mississippi, saw nearly $8 million go to Favre. That turned into contributions to a volleyball stadium at the University of Southern Mississippi and a defunct drug company backed by the longtime NFL quarterback. So he's there discussing his role in that. And in his opening statement, he brought up the fact that he has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Look, and there's different levels of Parkinson's and how rapidly it develops. Somebody that I've been close to in my life got diagnosed with it a few years ago, and it hasn't been a great situation. And you wonder, for Brett Favre, he's really young what is Brett Favre, probably 57, 58?
I was going to put him at 50, 56, but somebody can look it up.
He's going to be in his mid-50s. For him to get diagnosed with this early, and you think about, how much did this have to do with his playing career? It's just obviously bad situation, and hopefully he's able to live with it a long time. But that is a cruel disease that can go in a bad direction in a hurry.
Yeah, and you instantly think about just the impact you end up getting from playing the sport the way they used to play it, and Favre taking the hits. But that news, you guys talking about it in the chat room over there, and wanted to pass it along to those that are the many of you who are not in the chat room here today. All right. 4 Downs, brought to you by Slice Pizza every day. You can't beat a good lunch, a good slice of pie from our friends at Slice.
Yeah, stop into one of those 5 locations, Lakeview, Vestavia, Montevallo, Crestline Park, the newest location in Edgewood, created by the late Jeff Pajaya. His brothers, Jason and Chris, continue to celebrate his legacy. Stop in for a slice and salad. Local pizza, local ingredients, slicebirmingham.com.
First down.
More passing touchdowns this year. Alex Orji
Or me?
Or Ty Simpson. And this is a completely legitimate question, I think.
This is Ty Simpson because he'll come in some mop-up and or injury situation, and he's going to throw the ball better than Alex Orji. Because Sharon Moore, he did this last year with J.J. McCarthy just because he could.
Okay, on the Alabama schedule, though, how many opportunities really with Alabama up 21-28 in the second half? I mean, how many of those games are still left on the schedule?
For sure, if you can pull up an Alabama
this weekend
schedule,
ain't one of them.
This is not one of them, obviously. You instantly don't think anybody in the SEC is going to be one of these. Maybe Vandy, but the way Vandy's playing, I'd say no, right?
They don't get Mississippi State this year, right?
They don't get Mississippi State, which is the worst team in the league.
Yeah, that would be an opportunity.
But down the line, you do get that game with Mercer where Ty Simpson could rack them all up right there.
I mean, realistically, South Carolina is a possibility. Vanderbilt's still a possibility.
Yeah.
But Mercer, that's about it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Alex Orji, is he going to have a touchdown pass this year?
Yep. I would say.
I think I would go Ty Simpson.
I'd go Ty Simpson, too.
Second down.
Sticking with college football, which 4-0 ACC team do you have more confidence in? Louisville, who will head to South Bend to take on Notre Dame this week, or Pitt?
I'm going to end up regretting not taking Louisville in my upset alert, I bet. But I have more confidence in Louisville. I still think they won and they covered this past week. I think they were lucky to even beat Georgia Tech when it was 26-19.
I think they're a better team. I mean, the block punt, obviously, that flipped the entire game.
But Georgia Tech had the ball driving there after the safety.
But
block punt wins it.
Yeah,
wins the
Louisville's
game.
defense did show up in the fourth quarter. I think Louisville's a good team. I don't know about Pitt. I've watched them a couple of times. They put themselves in bad spots.
They got a quarterback. There's a lot of people in the SEC wish they had, I bet. Eli Holstein.
Eli Holstein has been great. Over 300 every game. I've got more confidence in Louisville, though.
I do, too. I'll take the birds from Louisville. You do it like this, right? But Holstein has been amazing, Jace. You're correct.
Third down.
Which 3-0 in the NFL do you trust more, the Seahawks or the Steelers?
Justin Fields, it has not been smooth offensively, but their defense has been so good.
Yeah, but he's getting a little bit better, and their defense has been lights out, giving up 8.5 points per game.
And listen, to the great Clemson Tiger, Geno Smith, every time I try to bury him, throw dirt on him, they throw it right back off of him, and he comes out of the grave. I'm still going to throw dirt on Geno again and go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I trust Mike Tomlin that he's going to keep the system, not worry about being flashy, just be old Mike Tomlin, where it's going to be lean into the defense, and I trust them more.
I think I'm going to go Seattle here. I think they're a more complete team. I think Ryan Grubb is still figuring out this offense, and the moment isn't too big for Geno. And I think there's a problem with the NFC West, the rest of it right now. Brock Purdy getting an MRI on his back. All of these skill guys down for them right now.
Christian McCaffrey in Germany checking a specialist out there to cure his Achilles
Cooper
issue.
Kupp will not play again this week in Chicago. I mean, there's just major injuries there. You got a bunch of 1 and 2s. You got an undefeated Seattle. I would go Seattle here.
Fourth down.
Which 1 and 2 in the NFL seems more broken? Miami with no Tua, or the Dallas Cowboys getting run off the field the last couple of weeks?
Well, not a really good backup situation in Miami, but they got so much talent. I think Dallas has been disappointing, but I lean into Dallas a little bit more than I do Miami just because they've got a quarterback. Miami doesn't have a quarterback, and it's hard to win in any league, especially that league, without a quarterback.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a long season for Miami now that Skylar Thompson got hurt. You're looking at 1 or 2 guys, either Tyler Huntley, who they recently signed, or Tim Boyle, who played this past week against Seattle. I don't think either one of those guys can win games for you. So I would go with Miami as well.
Morgan, since the steel curtain, he loves this Steeler defense. It is really good. Charlie, Michigan fan, Orji has 2 touchdown passes already. I don't know what Ty. I don't know if Ty
has one, doesn't he? No, maybe not.
I don't know. Nick, Dallas, Chris, though, Dallas sucks. Nick, Dallas is healthy. That is an advantage. Right there. Appreciate your comments over there. In the conversation, Chris there as well, picking Miami. 4 Downs brought to you by our friends at Slice Pizza.
Yeah, stop in for a slice and a salad today. Pick up a couple of pies on your way home, from the Bajaya Special, the Wing and a Prayer, the Soul Pie. You're going to love the specialty pizzas. Local pizza, local ingredients, SliceBirmingham.com.
SliceBirmingham.com there. Before we get to Lane Kiffin, I want LT to tell us about Wonder Fan, because you have a wonderful opportunity this weekend with Navy coming to town to play UAB at 11 o'clock at Protective Stadium. You got Auburn at 2:30. You got Alabama at 6:30 lined up all day long. If you want to be a fan, go visit at least the first half of all those games if you want. But if you're in the stadium, Wonder Fan can get you a nice little kickback.
Yeah, they're continuing to build their partnership. So very important first step is you need to go to your app store and download Wonder Fan. You got nothing to lose. Free app, WUNDERFAN. Once you do that, check in. Once you're at the stadium, let your earnings grow. It's that easy. During each game you attend, you'll earn in the background once you press start. And once you have enough earnings, you can redeem for cash vouchers to your favorite retailers like Dick's, Champion, Lululemon, 47 brand, and more. There's even weekly ticket giveaways. You can use your points to enter. New rewards are added weekly. Again, just head to the app store, search for Wonder Fan, WUNDERFAN. Start being paid for your fan loyalty. Wonder Fan, it pays to be a fan.
Did Geno Smith not play at Clemson? Did he play at West Virginia? Did I get that wrong?
Oh, yeah, West Virginia.
He was a West Virginia quarterback.
West Virginia quarterback. You don't have to say it like that, Tyler.
No, and I remember with Tavon Austin and then that was Geno Smith teams when they started 4-0 under Dana Holgorsen, and they were scoring it was almost like Tennessee's first 4 games of the season, and then everything went south.
How old is Geno? I don't have it in front of me.
I would say that Geno, he was a final year 2014, so give me 10. I would say that Geno is 31 years old.
Close. He's 33.
33. It's inside the window. Very good there. Lane Kiffin, inside the grill of Hugh Freeze, if you know what Hugh's been talking about, Lane Kiffin. It was Klatt that said, right? People would clip it out, what Hugh Freeze has said, and show it to recruits.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, Lane Kiffin, you can clip this out because this is absolutely 100% a troll of what's going on down at Auburn from the coach at Ole Miss.
From on the field, there's a trust level there of, we spend a lot of time with him and then let him play too on Saturdays. And I just think that, like you said, it started one way. I think that, you build that, especially for a guy that we didn't really recruit out of high school, any of that, didn't have a previous relationship. And I think it pays off, when you have relationships and the quarterbacks trust you too, and go back to Matt Corral when he threw 6 interceptions. And before I even got to the media, sitting down with him, telling him, we got to do a better job calling plays. I got to coach better. And don't worry, we got your back. And so I think that goes a long ways, and goes a long ways with kids in recruiting, of knowing what they're going to get when they get here from a relationship, and that they can trust us to have their back.
Do you think he would take the Florida job?
I think Kiffin and Florida are a perfect fit for each other, but I do not think he would take the Florida job.
It's crazy to think about. We live in a world now where you're at Ole Miss and you would not take the Florida job.
Yeah, I mean, right now, no particular order, but Georgia, Alabama, Texas, to me, LSU, to me, Oklahoma, to me, Ole Miss. I mean, those are better jobs. I mean, I would even take Texas A&M before I would take Florida. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SEC teams before I would take Florida.
I don't know if I would go that deep. I'm just saying, if both jobs were open at the same time, Ole Miss or Florida, I would take Florida. But I just wouldn't leave what I have built so far at Ole Miss to go to Florida.
Well, in the NIL right now, obviously Lane can bring in a top 10 roster with the NIL they have set up there. Florida's not shown me that they can get into the NIL game and get out of their own way. So I'd take Ole Miss right now, the way Lane handles it. But I think Lane would be probably equally as successful if he went to Florida. I understand why Florida fans want him, and I understand why some Auburn fans wanted him last year, and why some Alabama fans wanted him in Tuscaloosa last year when the opening happened. All right, when we come back, we'll get to Trash Today, the show being brought to you in part by our friends at Champy's world-famous fried chicken, champy'schicken.com. Highway 119 in Alabaster, open now for about 28 minutes for lunch, for dinner as well as champy'schicken.com.
Remember the name Way to Wellness if you're battling weight loss in your life. I'm Jim Dunaway from The Next Round. There was a time I was over 216 pounds until Way to Wellness helped me lose 45 pounds, and now for over 2 years, they've helped me keep that weight off. Here's their website, aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. That's a great name for a website because there's no cookie cutter plan. Everything is designed specifically for you. No contract, no sign-up fees, and your first consultation is free at Way to Wellness. There's only one Champy's World Famous fried chicken. Poor Boy's Tenders full fried chicken plates and a little bit of the Mississippi Delta with chicken on a stick and hot tamales. On your way to or from the big game on Highway 119 in Alabaster, stop by Champy's Chicken. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
From the creators of The Next Round comes two new sites, covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com. Two team sites with the same excitement and information-driven content that you get every day on The Next Round. Live daily shows, recorded shows, free of charge, plus premium content with insider information starting at just $1. And it's the perfect gift for the Alabama or Auburn fan in your family. Covercrimson.com or thebarnauburn.com. Sign up today.
Follow Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The social media team at Next Round Live is dedicated to giving you daily news conferences and practice video from UAB, Alabama, Auburn, and around college football. Follow and compare to the sites you used to visit. You'll also get the latest highlights and news from the Next Round Daily Show. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Next Round Live on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. See more at nextroundlive.com.
By now, you guys know how I feel about my fashion. However, did you know that I care about your fashion choices? Cargo shorts are out, flip-flops are only appropriate on the boat, and please throw away that stained t-shirt from college. You may be thinking, EG, that's all I own. What do I do? Here's what you do. Go to nextround.store and fill your cart with a wardrobe that is approved by me. Stock up on logo t-shirts, hoodies for football season, and hats for every day of the week. Trust me on this one and head over to nextround.store to get stocked up for this season.
Hey, there's nothing worse than waking up to a plumbing problem. Don't get caught in a flooded house. Call the guys at Hemp Hill Services. Adam, Chad, and the team at Hemp Hill are the only ones I trust to fix it and fix it right the first time. Hemp Hill Services does it right and always at a fair price. For all of your plumbing, cooling, and heating needs, trust the name that Birmingham has trusted since 1954. That is Hemp Hill Services. Call now, 205-229-2090. That's 205-229-2090.
Just because you've quit going to the gym, it doesn't mean that you have to quit gym altogether. Dunaway, that is. With our Next Round podcasts open 24/7, 365, you can access gym anytime you'd like. While you may have done away with your treadmill routine, our version of Dunaway is standing by ready to get you back to your absolute best. Find all that lovely Jimmy D-led content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and in the podcast section of nextroundlive.com. This message is sponsored by Jimmy Crypto Inc. and Jimmy Crypto for President.
Hey, you feel that? That's fall in the air. And New Balance Birmingham got your fresh fall pair to kick it during game time and sport from the sideline. Come together at New Balance Birmingham on Highway 280 right next to Chick-fil-A. New Balance Birmingham, we got now.
Back with you on The Next Round. The Wild Robot. You go see, about 3 to 4 movies a week, Tyler? Wild Robot's going to be a Disney kid movie. Do you go see those kind of movies?
Not Disney.
It's what?
DreamWorks,
not
Disney.
DreamWorks, not Disney. Okay, DreamWorks. All right, it's DreamWorks. So that makes me like it even more that it's DreamWorks. What do you think of The Wild Robot? Are you going to see it?
I'll probably catch it this weekend. I'm not particularly excited about it. It's just been getting a lot of really good reviews and will possibly be nominated for Best Animated Picture this year.
Boy, they got some balls on them rolling out 100% certified on Rotten Tomatoes on all these commercials, because all it takes is one critic to go the other way, right?
Yes, but they won't do that. This is a total Oscar bait movie.
Okay.
What does it mean, Oscar bait? What does that mean?
They are going for the Oscar. This movie was specifically created for the purpose of winning an animated award.
Apparently, it makes adults cry. So I don't know about the kids, but it makes the adults cry. So, I mean, it's the one that I see the commercials during the game where the robot's raising the little bird and got to teach him how to fly and all that one. All right. The Wild Robot.
So Wolves is coming out on Apple Thursday night with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and they were both pissed it didn't get a theatrical release. I'm assuming it's not going to be good based on that fact and based on the fact that they paid each of those guys $35 million, and it's going straight to streaming.
I heard it might get a very limited theatrical release because Apple wanted to push it for award season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled it. It looks absolutely terrible.
It does look bad, and it's got a concept that they probably could have made it work.
Landmine Believer wants to know that if we told you could not go to the theater for 30 minutes, for 30 days, for a month, would you start scratching, having hives? Would you put on a disguise and sneak into a movie theater to get a fix? Are you addicted to go into the movies?
Not just that, but doing the reviews. I was itching to film one after I saw a Batman cartoon movie over the weekend at the theater.
Oh, by the way, I watched The Penguin finally.
Oh, what'd you think?
I thought it was really good.
Yes.
Yeah, and I told young Jack, I was like, it's comic book, but really there wasn't a comic book element unless you know about the crime family that's in Gotham and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was well done. I mean, it really is, like you told me, it was kind of Sopranos-like. Mm-hmm. It was in that vein.
Was it really?
And that is hard to believe that's Colin Farrell.
Scarface-esque, but in Gotham City.
Isn't that hard to believe that's Colin Farrell?
Oh, yeah.
The Penguin is Colin Farrell?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should.
I've seen the screenshot.
You should look at the behind-the-scenes footage of them putting the makeup on. It's absolutely incredible. He's covered in prosthetics and makeup and everything else. He said that the only real parts of him in the show are his hands and his feet.
His foot's that jacked up?
Well, no, they've got it covered up.
I was about to say, they need to cut that thing off.
Hydra Live brings you part of the show today, keeping you feeling great and better than the Penguin's foot there.
IV therapy, B12 injections, cryotherapy, compression therapy, all under one roof. And now weight loss therapy. If you're tired of feeling stuck in your weight loss goals, discover personalized approach that works with Hydra Live Therapy's weight loss therapy. Very important, all of these services available to you. When you head into one of these two Birmingham locations or the Tuscaloosa location, make sure you mention the next round. You're going to get 20% off all of these great services. Hydra Live Therapy, open daily 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, hydralivetherapy.com.
AK says, I want to see the Penguin. Troy says it's a cinematic gem there over in the mybookie.ag chat room. It's Illinois Penn State. I don't know how excited you'll get about it. It's going to be opposite of Georgia, Alabama, so a lot of folks around here will not watch this game, or you'll have it on an alternate television sound down. Penn State's a 17.5-point favorite against Illinois, 6:30 NBC prime time. But Illinois is unbeaten, right, as they go in to play Penn State. And James Franklin with a whiteout is saying he wants everybody to bring that whiteout energy. Bring that whiteout energy. Here's Brett Bielema on that whiteout energy.
Nowhere, and there's dress. I don't know if they're going to be in blue and white or whatever they're going to be in this weekend. They're going to be dressed right, and it's probably going to be one or the other. I know they're calling for a whiteout energy, whatever the hell that means. But I would just tell you that the part that really I think stands out is their fans are intelligent. They've got tradition, very similar to Nebraska. They've been doing this for a long time, right? And Penn State fans are accustomed to great football. I remember Joe Paterno hearing at a speech, he was talking about uniforms. He goes, I don't like our uniforms. He said, but everybody knows it's Penn State.
Yeah, the quote that gets pulled out of that headline They want that whiteout energy, whatever the hell that means. If we're picking and choosing a Hugh Freeze's phrase, that's one to make the bulletin board, whatever that means, in Happy Valley this weekend.
Well,
any chance of an upset?
Yeah, I was going to say this could be quite the statement. Look, Illinois they found a way to beat 2 ranked teams already in Kansas and on the road in Lincoln, which was a really, really good atmosphere last Friday night. I think Penn State's too good. You see how inflated this number is, but Luke Altmaier's playing really good football right now, and that defense is salty. And Brett Bielema's he's put together a really good roster that I don't think that they can maintain and win 10 games and challenge to get to a college football playoff, but I think they could beat 1 or 2 teams, which they already have, that they're not supposed to.
I wish Luke Altmaier and his Illinois team was Penn State, and I wish it was an 11 a.m. game to make that 11 a.m. window a little bit better. I hate that that's opposite of Georgia and Alabama. We go to Trash Now, brought to you every day by our friends at Mortgage Right. Mortgage Right, with the rates dropping down, the place to call. Hit the big button, Tyler. Other than 12 months of me with my shirt off or whatever I'm dressed up as, in a heartbeat, I'll eat those balls all day long.
I've been to a
wow.
Yeah. LT's Trash is presented by Mortgage Right. Mortgages done the right way.
Don't even remember what that's from, Tyler.
You'd rather eat balls all day than do the calendar for bracket punishment.
Oh, you're talking about the festival that Brown went to.
Yes.
Yes.
It is buying season. Our friends at Mortgage Right here to help. Veteran founded here in Birmingham, offer loans throughout the country. While the area they serve may have grown, their commitment to Birmingham and veterans has not changed. Before you take the next steps on a new home purchase or refinance, talk with the team at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation to find out what you qualify for. You can get more information. Go to their website, mortgageright.com, or call that Birmingham Highway 280 office, 205-900-7200, NMLS 2239, equal housing lender. Okay, I don't know if we've got pictures for this, Tyler, but it looks like Samsung, who loves for their equipment to work for about 3 or 4 years and then fall apart.
I don't roll with, not an endorsement, I don't roll with Samsung stuff, especially the TVs.
Yeah,
I'm an LG guy.
I've still got plenty of Samsung. I do think LG has got the better picture. I do have some LG. After proving its innovations in a foldable smartphone, Samsung appears to be setting its sights on a new frontier, a rollable phone.
What?
Now, the South Korean tech giant reportedly has its eyes set on developing the first rollable phone, complete with one of the largest displays on a smartphone, shortly after losing to Huawei in a triple folding department. I don't even know, is it Huawei?
Huawei.
I've never, and so that's like a competitor of Samsung's?
Yeah, you can't buy them here, though.
Okay.
It's a Chinese phone, and so we don't allow them here in America because of security issues.
They have...
but we allowed for a long time, what do they call it, TikTok?
Still going. So the flip phone, they mastered that in China. The Samsung did not.
The folding screens didn't do as well as they wanted them to.
Yeah, I've always heard it was very flimsy and would break off.
So how does this work with a rollable?
Is this like a mirror? Like a mirror length, really tall?
So there's a couple renderings. Some of them have them rolled up like this, and you would just like unroll the screen, and then some of them are more like you see in the picture where the top sort of extends out, and so you'd like unfurl it like a scroll.
Yeah, this seems like a functional disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, why do I even want this?
Now, rollable that actually makes its way to international markets, that too as soon as reported is 2025 timeline, would be a major win for Samsung, especially because its latest foldables don't seem to be selling too well. I don't know, how much bigger of a screen... I said this. There was a time in my life I was like, you know what? I don't need a big TV in my bedroom. And then my audio video guy came out and he's like, you can never have too big. And I swear by that now. Like you can't have too big any TV in any room in the house. But I just don't know why you need a screen that big. Like a regular screen's big enough, right?
Yeah, and I want to be able to. I guess that's where it'd be this, and then it would extend out to this. But sometimes I'd want it to go this way instead. You know, I guess turn it like this. I don't know. This is fine with me, and this is big for me. I mean, it's like we're at a stadium. You could watch the game on this. I do sometimes.
So 2 men named Bernie McDonough, who stole jewelry, a TV, and a high-end watch during a 10-day crime spree, have been jailed. Police say the Brazen duo stole more than $8,000 worth of items when they targeted homes The McDonoughs attempted to break into a property, but only succeeded in damaging the lock in the door frame. According to police, both men were seen driving up an Lexus, reversing onto the drive at the same time when the damage was caused. Just a few days later, the McDonoughs broke into a property. They got a 55-inch TV, 6 watches, a necklace, all taken from the property, with the items said to be worth in the region of $3,100. CCTV caught an additional break-in a couple of days later, with the pair fleeing in a Lexus. Bernie McDonough was charged with 3 counts of burglary. The other McDonough was sentenced to 4 years, 9 months, and 2 weeks in prison, ordered to pay victim surcharge of $228. What is the relationship? Just randomly they've got the same name?
No, they're family, right?
No, not related at all, from different cities, but they were both arrested at the same time with the same name.
I would tell you this. I think they look like, the cheap wrestling you used to go to in your hometown, like down at the what's it
Just
called?
a random civic center.
Yeah.
No, but if you saw and they ran a pizzeria like in Brooklyn, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they switch in and out, but whoever flips to the dough and the other guy's in the front of the house.
Yeah, no, they're a tag team. They're in tights, except the guy on the right wears a white T-shirt under his, and they're the villains at the local American Legion wrestling night down there. They're the villains taking on the Patriot Brothers. And the Patriot Brothers are going to beat the Doughboys here.
So this is kind of an update. Chinese Zoo has admitted that the pandas in their exhibits were, in fact, painted dogs. We had this story before. They wanted to sell it off as these were baby pandas. Now, according to the New York Post, visitors at the Shanwei Zoo realized they were being bamboozled when the so-called pandas began panning and barking. Pandas are native to China and an international symbol of the country. Visitors finally figured it out. It was 2 chow chows with black and white panda markings.
It didn't take long to figure out, though, right?
I think it was pretty obvious when we talked about it. I mean, that is a dog. I've never been a big fan of the chow.
Yeah, me either. Or really the panda. I think the panda's
kind of
oversold.
aggressive. Yeah, I think the panda bear is not aggressive, though, right?
No, they're pretty dumb actually. They're terrible at hunting, and in a lot of zoos they refuse to breed. So the pandas want to die out apparently.
Yeah, but the only thing good is they do destroy bamboo, and if you've got a bamboo problem, you will always have a bamboo problem. Bamboo does not go away.
So for the bamboo, the panda is the goat. You just put them out and let them graze.
I guess. Boy, bamboo, that seems like a nightmare.
You know, I got a friend, Bob, who had bamboo. He planted it, or however you do bamboo, in the back of his yard, thought it would look cool, and next thing you know, it is growing everywhere.
Okay, so yeah, and that's the way it works. Like if you're ever buying a property, ask the homeowner, hey, is there bamboo on this property? Because what people will do is they will burn or extract the bamboo when they're selling the house, and then
it comes back because
3 months later, you've got bamboo that has grown back.
Yeah, and it grows through under your grass and around pipes.
So there are 3 questions, and I'm not in the market right now, but I was about this time last year that I think you need to ask if you're buying a home. Did anybody die in the house? If you care, whether or not. They've got to disclose that if it was the last owner. Is there bamboo in the yard, and do you have good water pressure?
Good water pressure.
Very important stuff.
When you go to a house, do you turn the water on?
Yep,
okay.
Always. Top 10 funniest TV shows by Ranker.com. Is this over the history of television? Is this the last 10 years, 25 years?
This is over the history of TV. All shows are
It's
included.
a big swing and a miss. But here we go.
Well, it's Ranker, so you can manipulate that by who goes on the website.
Just user
yeah, and some of these I can't speak because I haven't seen them. Like I heard Parks and Rec, which is number 10 on the list.
I
heard it's
it.
very good.
If you like The Office, it's not exactly the same. I guess they put it in the same neighborhood, but it's a little different. Not as good as The Office, but it's good.
Number 9 on the list, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Never watched it.
I've never seen it. I know it got canceled and then picked back up.
Yeah, it went from one network to the other. Tyler, you ever watch it?
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Andy Samberg.
Yeah, Andy Samberg. You got Terry Crews. It's pretty funny.
Number 8, Friends. I never thought it was funny.
Yeah, always liked it. Always liked it.
Number 7 on the list, Modern Family. I thought it was funny until the kids started getting older, and then Gloria had too much of a pronounced role.
Yeah, but first 3 years, really good content.
Yeah. Number 6, The Simpsons. As a kid, I liked it, but I fell out of love, I think, during college. But
isn't that amazing? You can say that as a kid you liked it at your age. I mean,
well, I say as a kid, I was a teenager.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's been on TV that long.
Yep. Number 5, Seinfeld. Never got into Seinfeld either.
Liked it a lot back then. I do think it's starting to age a little bit now.
Number 4, Looney Tunes. When I would come home from elementary school, I loved me some Looney Tunes back in the day.
Which was your favorite character? It was Coyote and Roadrunner for me.
I liked that. I liked Tom and Jerry for a little bit.
Didn't like Tom and Jerry. I wish they'd gotten along.
I like the sheepdog and the wolf.
Oh,
where
yeah.
they clock into work.
They're friends as soon as they leave, but when they clock in, they're enemies.
Yeah.
Who were they called?
Foghorn
Sam the
Leghorn?
sheepdog and I think it was Ralph Wolf.
I'm off. Foghorn Leghorn was loud, though, right?
Yeah.
You know, the thing about Tom and Jerry is Tom was just doing his job. He got such a bad rap.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't want a rat running around your house, would you?
No, I just wish they'd get along. They seem like they'd be great friends.
Oh, Bullet and Chili got into a chipmunk at the dog park the other day.
That didn't last long.
So bad. But, man, it's almost like every third time they find one. And I'm like, how do the chipmunks... Like, there's nobody ever at this dog park that we go to. And there's a ton of acreage. I mean, it's great. But I just... Like, they know that you've got these predators coming in. If you're a chipmunk, go in a hole. Climb a tree.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally...
Have some awareness.
You're really running. There should be a guard saying, don't go in here. There's dogs.
Number 3 on this top 10 funniest TV shows by Ranker is South Park. I never could get into it. I've seen some funny, memes and different scenes that have come out there, but...
I would only get into South Park when Rockstar would tell me, hey... You got to see this episode is about this, or this is about this. And I would catch an episode or a segment.
Tried it, couldn't do it. Number 2 on the list, tried it, couldn't do it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. People swear by this. I did not think it was funny at all.
Never watched it consistently, but early on there were a couple episodes that I thought were iconic.
And number 1 on the list, favorite. I think it's like Seinfeld, but if there was a gas leak in Jerry's apartment.
So a darker Seinfeld.
Yeah,
That's
Seinfeld, but everybody's Part Kramer.
So number 1 on the list is The Office. I have no problem with this. I think it's well done. I didn't watch it when it was on network. I watched it when it came back on Netflix because the kids were really into it. But to have no Silicon Valley, to have no Veep, to have no Curb Your Enthusiasm, I don't get it.
This seemed to be mostly all network shows.
Well, and look, I've heard Abbott Elementary. I know Leighton watches that. I've heard it's really, really good. I saw a promo for it this morning.
Maggie watches it as well.
But yeah, I've heard that it's really unique. I don't really know much about it, but...
Mortgage Right brings you the show, and they bring you trash as well today. Tell us about Mortgage Right.
Yeah, look, they are your mortgage experts. Proud to partner with those guys since day one. Before you take the next steps on a new home purchase or refinance, talk with the team at Mortgage Right. No cost or obligation. Find out what you qualify for. Call 205-900-7200 or mortgageright.com.
All right, a couple of things to finish up here on the show involving college football, but I want to know about how you guys feel over in the chat room about the Braves. I know a lot of you Braves fans have been waiting all year for the playoffs, and now we're down to basically playoff baseball at home tonight. Mets and Braves. Will you have a play on that at lanceslive.com?
I do not have a play. I've got 2 Major League Baseball plays today.
Any of them involving these 3 big games?
No, both in the American League.
All right, both in the American League. National League big games happening everywhere tonight. Laura, Veep right now is perfect for our current politics. It is a hilarious, well-written show. Abbott Elementary, Maggie watches it. I've never watched it. Curb is the GOAT. Seinfeld number 2, according to Seth. A lot of opinions over there. Soprano was funnier than most on the list. It did have humorous moments.
I agree. Maddie walked downstairs the other night, and I had Jack watching the Christopher Maltasante intervention that I was telling you guys about. So I've watched that just on its own like 5 different times, and there should be really nothing funny about an intervention. But, boy, if you want to laugh, if you're having a rough day, 40 minutes into episode 10, season 4 of The Sopranos, it is well worth the 3 or 4 minutes.
All right. So we get to this final segment brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill, lanceslock.com. Baseball plays tonight in the American League. Football coming up this weekend. Tell us about Lance's Lock.
Yeah, jump on board and win with us. lanceslock.com. Coming off a split last night. Our big play, the Jags. I'll go on and say probably the worst play that we've rolled out there this year. I thought the Jags would play with urgency, completely outclassed. And I'm not afraid to say I think Buffalo might be the best team in the NFL, especially with Josh Allen playing at this level. But we regroup after the 1-1 last night. We've got 2 winners up available right now. It is always brought to you by our friends at Hemp Hill Services. Whether you experience plumbing, heating, or cooling issues in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
We've been talking about 90 consecutive home game favorites for Alabama. The Dogs a 2-point favorite right now at mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag. Matt Stafford was the quarterback in 2007 in Tuscaloosa, where Georgia beat Alabama last time they won in Tuscaloosa. How good was that overtime pass? You Alabama fans will remember.
Yeah, I was at that game, and I remember it goes to overtime, and I thought the Alabama team was a little overvalued. I think they were 4-0 at that point. I think game day was in town. Saban had yet to lose a game. And then with Stafford and Georgia coming in, it goes to overtime. And that first pass, just back of the pylon, an absolute dime that he dropped there.
Michael Hawkins Jr. will start for Oklahoma at Jordan-Hare. We talked about that a couple of times. Payton Thorne on the show today. And then an unbelievable breakdown from Joel Klatt on just how dysfunctional Oklahoma's offense was against Tennessee. They'll try to get it fixed with a backup quarterback. Now the starter and Michael Hawkins Jr. as they come to Jordan-Hare. Quinn Ewers, questionable for Mississippi State. I think we all agree Arch can win the game, right?
Yeah, why even play Quinn? You give Arch a little more playing time, give him more experience, because Quinn is a guy that has been injury prone. We've seen it over his 3 years as a starting quarterback for Sark in Texas. This might be a situation where, maybe Arch has to win a big game for you. So I would get him as many reps as I could against a really bad Mississippi State team.
Andrew makes a great point. That was the back to the Stafford win when he threw that great pass. That was the what's Brittany doing with her life moment. That seems like.
Yeah, see, and I wasn't watching the broadcast, so I didn't hear it. And we obviously played that sound from Mike Patrick forever.
Sark says he'll watch practice this week to make a call on Quinn. On the other sideline, Mississippi State will go to Michael Van Buren. While we're talking TV, the Van Buren boys in Seinfeld, where one of the Van Buren boys will be quarterback in Mississippi State this weekend. He's the quarterback of the future for them. And then there's Mack Brown, who says he will finish the 2024 season. Doesn't talk about 2025, but I think that's the writing on the wall with him coming out saying he'll finish the 2024 season. I think that means this is it for Mack Brown at North Carolina.
Yeah, well, look, sooner or later it's got to happen. The oldest active coach right now, I think Mack is 73 or 74. You hope, though, that after, again, I can't believe you say this out loud, you score 50 at home and you lose by 20. You would hope after that performance they can figure something out, maybe rally around the troops, and maybe internally, maybe they've been told this is it for Mack.
Yeah. So the final dash to the line here, well, later on we'll be taping Bama and Bourbon with Aaron Suttles and LT. Aaron's waiting to jump in front of the camera now. Forrester, I sent you a little clip earlier. These things never happen, that a six-way tie for first place. We always have these scenarios early in the year, but this one caught my eye on Reddit because of who certain teams don't play. But the ability to end up with 6 teams with one loss this year in the SEC and having to go through an extraordinary tiebreaker to find out who's in the SEC championship is crazy. Texas, if they lose to Georgia and win the rest of their games, Georgia, if they lose to Alabama and win the rest of their games, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, the big ones. Alabama, if they lose to Tennessee but beats Georgia, graphic up if you're watching. I'm explaining to you for those on audio. Tennessee, if they only lose to Georgia and beat Alabama. Ole Miss, if they win the rest of them, only lose to Georgia. Missouri, if they win the rest of them, only lose to Alabama. Look how non-competitive Texas, Ole Miss, and Missouri's schedule is, relatively speaking, and how challenging Georgia's schedule is this year. For Alabama, pretty challenging. And for Tennessee, the path is there to make the playoff. But, these things are always so out there, but that's a realistic scenario right there.
Yeah, well, we talked about those schedules, in Ole Miss and Missouri, and we kind of talked about those being the easiest, but we also talked about, with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, Oklahoma drew the short straw. They got the really difficult schedule. Texas did not. This is going to be so fascinating, not only because we want to watch this Georgia-Alabama game, but the after effect. If Georgia loses this game, it becomes Kirby's got an Alabama problem. It also becomes, wow, Georgia coming off a bye, struggled in Lexington, and now they've lost a game, and now they've still got Texas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee coming up.
Okay, let me ask you the scenario then. If Alabama beats Georgia, how does Georgia do again on the road at Texas, on the road at Ole Miss, and at Tennessee? If Alabama beats Georgia this weekend, how many losses do you think Georgia ends up with?
Well, I want to see how it plays out because, if it's a 2017 Alabama win, then I think you're like, well, damn, Georgia defense is still really good, but obviously their offense, they have taken steps backwards. If Georgia was to lose by double digits, I'll just put it this way. If Georgia loses this game, it's going to be difficult for them to make college football playoff with what they've got coming up. I know that sounds crazy. And going back to the Joel Klatt interview, they haven't lost a regular season game since the pandemic when we were doing terrestrial radio from my basement. But if they were to lose this game with everything they've got coming up in October and November, I think it's a problem for Georgia.
Home games after this game for Georgia includes Auburn and Mississippi State. And then that big game with Texas. Cocktail party's not what it used to be, but then you're at Ole Miss and Tennessee in those back-to-backs there at the end. And Georgia Tech's a little trickier than it used to be, but challenging games out there.
I'll say this, though. If Georgia does lose and Auburn beats Oklahoma, I cannot imagine what Georgia will do to Auburn in Athens.
Because they would have that,
well, I mean, because
it'd be a get-right game?
They would really have the mad on coming out. And, and then Auburn maybe a little more confidence coming off an Oklahoma loss. Win or lose, I think if Georgia lost this game, that just doesn't shake well for Auburn.
All right.
Probably doesn't anyway.
That's our show today. We're back with you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time. We'll get Brownie back in here tomorrow and make sure everything's going right with the Brown Man, Brownster, the Brownie, Rhino, all the nicknames you want to throw out there for him. Forrester and Tyler back there. We appreciate you guys so much. Taylor is down in our social media center, and of course EG down on campus in Auburn today. Until next time, God bless you. God bless America. Don't forget covercrimson.com and thebarnauburn.com for all your college football needs right now on the Next Round platforms.